comment kayo kasi lumulobo yung pneumonia na hindi naman notifiable, samantalang gumagastos rin tayo ng halos 2 billion para sa vaccination program. Nagtataka lang po. So if I may request, Mr. President, that we urge the DOH to please give an assessment and breakdown for the pneumonia vaccination, as well as perhaps their insight on the failure to include pneumonia, the #1 claim in all the top medical diseases among the notifiable. Perhaps also, in as much as this investigation is in aid of legislation, despite the newness of RA 11332, we should look at it once again in order that the claims, the top medical diseases should be blended with reportorial requirements para hindi nagkakagulo. May I call on now SVP Legal Rodolfo Del Rosario, please? Nandun po siya kanina.
Mr. President, Madam Senator, I think he was brought to the clinic for an increased blood pressure.
Sorry?
He was brought to the clinic.
He was brought to the clinic daw po. Ito na po.
He's back. Okay.
Sorry.
Apologies, Mr. President.
Okay, accepted. Senator Amy Marcos, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And SVP Legal Rodolfo Del Rosario. Ano po yung Corporate Integrity Committee? At ikaw daw yung head noon?
That's the PHILHEALTH Integrity Committee, Mr. President.
Anong ginagawa noon? At bakit po kayo naging head noon?
The Board of Directors designated me as head of PHILHEALTH Integrity Committee, Mr. President.
Amy Marcos, go ahead.
I see. Thank you very much. VP Rodolfo Del Rosario. Is that because wala kayong kaso katulad ng sinabi ninyo kanina? At ikaw daw yung head noon? Is that because yung unimpeachable ang inyong integrity kaya kayo ang pinili ng board para mag-head noon? Anong ginagawa? Kasi sabi nga ninyo kanina, wala namang kayong kaso.
That's the Board of Directors designated me as head of that's for the board to answer, Mr. President.
I see. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. VP Rodolfo Del Rosario. Is that because wala kayong kaso katulad ng
That's for
sinabi
the board
ninyo
to
kanina?
answer
At
kung
ikaw
sino
daw
po
yung
nilagay
head
nila
noon?
sa mga committee,
Is that because yung
Mr. President.
unimpeachable? Hindi, tinatanong ko kasi sinabi mo kanina na wala ka pang kaso. Hindi ka naman kailanman nakasuhan. Kasi sabi nga ninyo kanina, wala
I've never
naman
said that,
kayong kaso.
Mr. President.
Yun ang pagkarinig ko. Kasi ang balita ko, 2005 pa lamang, nahatulan ka ng guilty dun sa overpricing and fixed bidding of the PhilHealth building, yung new building, katapat ng SSS sa East Ave. Tama po ba yun?
There was an investigation against me in 2005
Hindi,
when I
tinatanong
was
ko kasi sinabi nga kanina na wala ka pang kaso. Hindi ka naman kailanman nakasuhan. Kasi sabi nga rin kanina, wala naman kayong kaso.
Department, Mr. President.
But is it not a fact that the guilty verdict was issued against you, and as a matter of fact, si SVP Dalma and DM Marsan tinanggal, building, katapat ng SSS sa East Ave. Tama po ba yun?
That case was as far as I'm concerned, I was prosecution. I was charged, but I was fined.
But was there not a guilty verdict which you managed to compute upon the change of Dr. Ray Aquino to Dr. Banson, biglang naging fine na lamang? And as a matter of fact, si SVP Dalma and DM Marsan tinanggal.
Assumed the PCO, Mr. President. There was a case in 2005 that was decided in 2012. The verdict was I was guilty of civil neglect of duty. I was fined for
But was there
15
not
months
a guilty verdict which you managed to
Mr. President.
compute upon the change of Dr. So you are saying that at no point were you criminally liable, but you now admit that in fact you were found to be administratively guilty. And
You're putting words into my mouth, Mr. President. I never said that I was never charged. And that is
Yun po lang karinig ko kanina eh. Kaya kinaklarify ko lang.
thank you, Madam, but that is not what I said.
Okay, so ano ang nangyari sa Region 1? Kasi alam naman natin kanina, binanggit na ni Ms. Veronica, nabanggit na rin ni Senator Subiri, ang dami ng nabianggit ng Region 1. At ang alam natin dyan, kasama kayata sa 13 people who were criminally mentioned. And doon sa fake cancer claims ni Attorney Emily Roque, pero ang ending, wala na naman daw na prosecute. Ano ba talaga ang nangyari sa Region 1? Kasi alam naman natin kanina, binanggit na ni Ms. Veronica, nabanggit na rin ni Senator Subiri, ang dami ng nabianggit ng Region 1. At ang alam natin dyan, kasama kayata sa 13 people who were criminally mentioned. And doon sa fake cancer claims ni Attorney Emily Roque, pero ang ending, wala na naman daw na prosecute. Ano ba talaga ang nangyari sa
Convicted and was dismissed from the service. Administrative cases proceeded against serious individuals in Region 1. I have don't have any official role in that particular investigation or in the determination of the resolution of the case, Mr. President, Madam Chair.
Please provide the committee with a closure report because as we are well aware, the Anti-Fraud Division issued a 200-page report. Pagkatapos nun, yung internal audit report, ganun din. Kaya lang, nung pag-filing, eto na naman, nag-disappearan. Tama po ba yun?
I am not in the best position to answer that. As I told you, Mr. President, I have no role, official role in the investigation and the resolution of the
Hindi ba RD kayo ng PhilHealth? Provide the committee with a closure report because hindi ba RD kayo ng PhilHealth nun? The Anti-Fraud Division issued a 200-page report. Pagkatapos nun, yung internal audit report, ganun din. Kaya lang, nung pag-filing, eto na naman, nag-disappearan. Tama po ba yun?
decentralization of life offenses, but during the time, all of the administrative cases against employees and officials are centralized. So the Regional Vice President has nothing to do with the process, Madam Chair.
Masyado po kayong kontrobersyal. Nung nakaraang taon, 2018, naaalala ko, na-renew at nabalitaan namin sa Region 1 sa Dagupan, na-renew yung building ni Secretary Duque bilang headquarters ng Region 1. Pero ang balita, ikaw na yung OIC sa Davao. Tama ba yun?
Yes, I think that's controversial because the people that are
Masyado po kayo
wants to pin me
Masyado
down.
po
But
kayong kontrobersyal.
let me
Nung
state
nakaraang
for the
taon,
record that when I signed the document, I was still the Regional Vice President
at
of
nabalitaan namin sa Region 1 sa
prior my
Dagupan,
transfer,
na-renew yung
Mr. President, Madam
ni
Chair.
Secretary Duque. Dalawa ang hinahawakan ng pwesto. Assistant ka sa Region 1 at the same time OIC ka sa Davao. Dalawang pwesto. Ubod naman yata ng lakas ninyo.
I never assumed na pareho. I never assumed in a concurrent capacity, Mr. President. I was Regional Vice President of Region 1 and I was reassigned in Davao. Now this is one of the reasons, President, why these people are after me. Because I went to Davao against their wishes.
Assistant ka sa Region 1
I have
at the same time
uncovered
OIC ka
anomalies
sa
that I have
Davao. Dalawang pwesto.
forwarded
Ubod naman
to
yata ng lakas
the proper
ninyo.
authorities. Maraming masalimutan ko kasi hindi po
Masalimutan ka po. Pwede bang tanungin yung napakaraming kaso sa Corpus Clinic na nag-umpisa na 10 beds. Tapos taon-taon, 40 million hanggang 300 million ang inirelease ng PhilHealth. Bakit hindi pa napafile yung isang katutak na kaso doon? Baka naman may update kayo na ma-share.
It is not true that the cases against Corpus did not proceed. I can show you.
Bakit hindi naman nahatulan? legal, pwede ba tanungin yung napakaraming kaso sa Corpus Clinic na nag-umpisa na 10 beds, tapos taon-taon 40 million hanggang 300 million ang i-release ng PhilHealth. Bakit naman nakapile yung isang katutang na kaso doon? Baka naman may update kayo na ma-share.
I've been monitoring the filing of these criminal complaints since I assured
Bakit hindi naman naaktulan?
SBP of legal office.
Pwede bang tanungin
So,
yung napakaraming kaso sa
it's
Corpus Clinic na
your
nag-umpisa na
sources
10 beds,
say
tapos
that
taon-taon
they are
40
the
million
anti-fraud
hanggang
unit
300
office in
million
Region 1
ang i-release ng
and I
PhilHealth.
fail to act on the report.
Bakit hindi naman
Kailan po sila
nakapile?
nag-draft ng criminal complaints? At kailan nila binigay sa akin for the filing of the criminal complaint? Hindi po regional vice president na nagre-prepare ng mga pleadings. It is the legal office. Ngayon itong source natin of the legal office.
Ngayon po na kayo na ang Senior Vice President for Legal, pinursige ba ninyo itong mga kaso? Kasi pag pagkaalam namin, wala pa rin nangyayari. Andun pa rin, namamayagpag pa rin.
We have directed the regional officers to the President, General Morales, to file criminal complaints.
But as head of legal and former RD of Region 1, with intimate and personal knowledge of all the details of these scams, wala ba kayong ginawa on your own mga kaso? Or lagi na lang kayo nag-iintay sa sino mang regional na nariyan? Andun pa rin, namamayagpag pa rin.
I have draft to the President the guidelines on how the criminal complaints and the PRC complaints will be
But as
filed with
head
the
of
regional
legal
officers.
and
This is
former
a perennial
RD
problem
of
of
Region
PhilHealth
1,
where criminal
with
complaints are
intimate
not
and
filed.
personal
During my
knowledge
time
of all the
as
details
SBP
of
legal, I
these
have
scams,
forwarded
wala
those
ba kayong
documents
ginawa
to
on
the
your
National
own
Bureau of
mga kaso? Or
Investigation
lagi na lang kayo nag-iintay sa sino mang regional na nariyan?
that
Andun pa rin, namamayagpag
identify where the incidence of fraud is so rampant. At hindi po Region 1 po yung hindi po mapabait, mas marami po matitino sa Region 1. These groups that are after my head are the groups where we identify this rampant fraud. I have forwarded
wala ba kayong
documents
ginawa? Mr. President,
Senator Marcos,
lagi na lang kayo nag-iintay sa sino mang regional na nariyan? Yes, please.
Rosario keeps on mentioning these groups or these persons within the board.
Mr. President, in 2018, if I may give a background, in 2018, the Health Informatics and Data Analytics Committee presented to the Anti-Fraud Task Force. Before there was an Anti-Fraud Task Force composed by board members.
Senator Marcos,
So we presented the results of a data analytics study that showed the incidence of fraud in the different areas of the country. This particular report prompted the management then to reassign employees. To reassign employees, the regional heads, to for a more transparent investigation. This is the reason that I was reassigned from Region 1 to Davao, since
No,
all
that's
regional
not
vice
my
presidents were
question.
affected.
wait,
I'm sorry,
that's not my question. That is an answer to if I asked you why. I'm not asking you why. I asked you who are these that are against you. You have mentioned it twice
these
or
are
three
the,
times to Senator Marcos.
Thank you, Mr.
Sino
President.
sila na bakit
These are the people that
bakit sila galit
I'm sorry.
sa'yo?
These are the people that have been identified by Dr. Obet Salvador during last year's Blue Ribbon Committee, Mr. President. They have been charged administratively for different offenses. And it happened that some of these cases were filed during my time as SBP Legal. So they are claiming that they have been oppressed. But the truth of the matter is the reason why for all this brouhaha and all these troubles is because it started when they are being reassigned. So yun po yung kadahilanan doon. 20 years mahigit po doon sila sa mga posisyon nila. Meron po kaming
Point of order, Mr.
testimonies
President. Point
na
of order.
nagbigay ng pera yung hospital sa kanila para ayusin yung mga kaso. Pero yung mga
Point of
yung
order.
witness po nag-back out eventually, no?
So you're saying these are people that you have filed cases against?
Yes, sir. The cases were filed during their time. It was the PhilHealth board that filed the cases, not.
So where are these people now?
They are still assigned where they are assigned right now, but two of them are on floating status. They are reporting to the central office. They used to report to General Augustus de Villa under the office of the SBP operations.
So bakit, well, anyway, you may continue, Senator Marcos. I'm not satisfied.
Joel?
Go ahead.
President, if I may, I was raising a point of order because the question raised by the Senate Senate President.
Senator Marcos, go ahead, Senator Villanueva.
Well, I was just raising a point of order, Mr. President, because Mr. President was asking that question, who are they? And until now, we have yet to hear any names, Mr. President. That's all I want, Mr. President. Thank you.
That's right, Mr. President. And to SVP Rodolfo Del Rosario, you're imputing ill motivation from whomever it is you seem to think I derive this information. I did not derive this information from any of these intriguers that you allege. I know of these incidents because they are notorious cases in Region 1.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, may I therefore request from SVP Del Rosario a closure report or at least a synopsis of the 2005 case under Dr. Ray Aquino regarding the rigged bidding and overprice of the PhilHealth HQ and his alleged participation in the same, although he denies that. Also, may I inquire if there is a report of the 220 cases pending against Corpus Clinic in Sinai, Ilocos Norte, and his actions therefore. And finally, as stated by both Senator Villanueva and Senate President Soto, kung mabigyan kami ng listahan nitong mga tao na sinasabi mo na pinakikinggan ko na nagbigay ng masasamang balita tungkol sa iyo, ano ba ang mga pangalan nila at anong kaso ang final kaya naging dahilan na sinisiraan ka ngayon?
Thank you, Mr. President. May I just correct that I was not charged in any rigged bidding. Right, bidding. The case that was filed against me was allegedly I inserted the budget in the presentation of the PhilHealth Board. For the record, I was the end user of that particular project. So I submitted that particular proposal to the technical working group of the budget committee. There is no way that I can insert that particular budget in the board presentation. It goes through a process. Nasa una po ako ng process. It was a case for persecution, Madam Chair, Mr.
Kaya
President.
nga SVP Del Rosario, kaya nga hinihingan kita ng iyong bersyon kung nasaan yung iyong synopsis, yung summary ninyo. Kasi ang dokumento na hawak natin, talagang may guilty verdict sa administrative charge nitong ating PhilHealth new building. Salamat.
Mr. President, with the permission
Yes,
of Senator
Senator
Marcos.
Lacson.
Yeah, very quick intervention, related matter. SVP Attorney Del Rosario. What is the status of your case in CSC, Civil Service Commission Invalidated Appointment? This was filed in 2018. Ano yung status po nito?
Sir, the invalidation of my appointment as Regional Vice President, but for the reason that
No, ang tinatanong ko, status.
that is moot and academic, Mr.
Anong status sa Civil Service Commission? Anong tanong ko?
That is already moot and academic.
Moot and academic, anong status? I'm not asking about the merit of the case. Anong status?
My appeal was, I withdraw the appeal, Mr. President.
Yeah, ang record ng Civil Service Commission, yung case number N17200700318, still pending.
No, then
No, it's a matter of record.
sir, I already withdraw that protest since there's no need for me to pursue that protest since I was already appointed to a higher position, which was already validated by the Civil Service Commission.
But I'm confronting you with the record of the CSC. It's still
Okay, sir.
pending.
So we will clarify it with them, Mr. President.
Yun na tinatanong ko yung status ng case. Marami
Yes, sir.
na sinabi.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Then what was that administrative case that Senator Marcos was mentioning that you were found guilty of? What was the case?
It was a case, sir, Mr. President, regarding the budget of the corporate center.
Ay, galing ka umilag ng sagot eh. Tinatanong ko, ano yung kaso? Ano yung title ng kaso?
Budget insertion in the corporate operating budget, Mr. President.
Isn't it overpricing?
They're claiming that it's a bloated
No, it's not
budget.
claiming. No, I'm asking what the title of the case was. It's overpricing, di ba?
No, sir. It's budget insertion.
Budget insertion.
Yes. They allege that I inserted that budget, particular item.
We will direct the secretary to get a copy of that administrative case and we'll find out if you are perjuring yourself or not. All right. Next is Senator Grace Poe. Senator Poe, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. My line of questioning will be about the qualifications of General Morales to begin with. It is my understanding that the GCG, or the Government Commission on the GOCCs, has the recommendatory powers to recommend a short list to the President, qualified board members for the PhilHealth based on the universal health care law requirements. And from there, the President will choose who should be appointed. Now, there are certain standards and criteria that need to be met. My understanding is the GCG head is here, Mr. Dagmin. Am I correct? Is he present? Mr. Dagmin? Nakaalis na ba, Secretariat?
Who were you asking for, Senator Poe?
Mr. Dagmin, if I'm not mistaken, from the GCG.
Mr. President, he's present, but he has to unmute his mic so he'll be able to be heard.
Mr. Dagmin, yung mic po niyo.
Yeah, okay. Is it?
Anyway, Mr. President, while we're losing valuable time here, let me just...
Yes. Yes.
Are you now? Okay. Mr. Dagmin, pakisabi nga po sa atin, ano ang kwalifikasyon ng mga nire-recommenda ninyo sa Presidente para piliin bilang kinatawan sa PhilHealth Board? Ano yung mga minimum requirements?
Primarily, the requirements is based on the charter. Then we have the fit and proper rule. Thereafter, there are stakeholders who recommend to the GCG for nomination, and we process them. Thereafter, we prepare a confidential memorandum to the Office of the President. There, the President will choose who will be appointed as member of the board.
Mr. Dagmin, I think you failed to include that members should have a minimum requirement of 7 years in public health, finance, management, or economics experience. Am I correct?
Yes, that is for the President or CEO of PhilHealth. But based on the UHC Universal Health Care Law, it is the Board of PhilHealth who will recommend somebody there to be the President based on the 7-year requirement of finance and management.
So what you're trying to say is that for the President of PhilHealth, you need that 7 years requirement, but not necessarily as a board member. Am I correct?
Yes, based on the new law, we process all of them as board of directors. And
Okay.
in the new law, it is now the Board of PhilHealth who will recommend who will be the president of CEO of PhilHealth.
Okay, but from the very beginning, Mr. Morales was recommended to be a part of the board because of his apparent sectoral representation. Am I correct?
Yes, for indirect contributors.
Okay, indirect contributors to, can you mention to me the sectors that are supposed to have been represented?
Who were not employed, those who are not directly employed, OFW, and not through compensation through a particular employer. So he was
ibig
processed for
sabihin, Mr. Dakpin, para lang mas maliwanag ha, dapat sila ay identified indirect contributors sa indigents identified with DSWD, beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pampamilya,
Yes.
senior citizens, persons of disability. So alin doon tumutugma kay General Morales?
he's a senior citizen, and he is from the employer sector. At the time, he was the president of a reinsurance company, and he was nominated by the presidential management staff.
So he was nominated by the PMS. Now,
Yes.
for the board to choose the president of PhilHealth, that person should have the required qualification of 7 years
Yes.
experience, correct? So
Yes.
is there such a board resolution that states that he indeed qualified to be president of PhilHealth?
I'm not privy to that, ma'am, to the Mr. Chairman, because that is a concern of the PhilHealth board. It's now the duty, the fiduciary duty of the board to determine the 7-year qualification.
Okay, so do we have a member of the board here present who can attest to the deliberations with regards to the appointment of General Morales? Meron po ba dyan na member ng board?
President?
Yes, Tony Longawang.
Madam Senator, there was actually a board resolution which confirms the appointment or nomination by President Duterte of Vigen Morales as President and CEO.
Okay, so let me ask you, in that resolution, did it state that he actually complied with the requirements? Matanong ko na nga siguro si General Morales mismo. Ano ang kanyang qualification pagdating sa management, finance, public health, or economics?
Yes, ma'am. My qualifications is that I was President and Chief Executive Officer of the Armed Forces Mutual Benefit Association, which is an insurance company. Before that, I was the General Manager of a general insurance company, the AFPGen. And my experience in management is, of course, as the camp commander of Fort Bonifacio, where I managed the real estate of the Army and the units within Fort Bonifacio. And before that, as brigade commander, I also managed the resources allocated to me, men, equipment, and the mission that was assigned to me to accomplish.
So
I'm
those
also
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
I'm also a fellow of the Institute of Corporate Directors.
Okay, so your experience is largely falls on the management sector,
Yes, ma'am.
not necessarily public health.
I have no experience in public health, ma'am.
Okay, now for the GCG, normally the appointees will only have a duration of 1 year, after which there should be an evaluation of their performance if they are actually qualified to continue. They should have a rating of above average or average. Am I correct, Mr. Dakpin? Sir, nakamute po kayo.
But in the case of General Morales, he's now a direct appointee of the president. I think when the UHC law was passed, somehow there is implied amendment to the GCD law, which is a 1-year requirement. So this thing has to be stressed out. But with that as it may, our performance evaluation for director is also included.
Okay, so have you deliberated on his performance evaluation? Because it's been 1 year. Kung July 2019 po siya in-appoint.
Thereafter, ma'am, I'll ask my staff to submit the direct performance evaluation sheet for General Morales.
So wala pa hanggang ngayon?
Presumably, meron na siguro, ma'am.
Anong meron na siguro? Eh kayo yung namumuno
Kasi
dapat kung alam niyo.
I'm not sure kung what 28 kasi he was there 2018 later part, and it's for 2019. He will be graded for 2019, and you know, for grading for 2019, just like our performance evaluation, there is a need to submit documents, and by reason of the pandemic, somehow documentation has to be submitted by the PhilHealth because this is also peer grading with the peer of the PhilHealth board for President Morales.
So let me ask you,
And-
sir, have you
Yes,
actually convened with the members or the board of whoever in the GCG that is responsible for evaluating the current PhilHealth chief? Have you met with them and have they submitted an
It is
evaluation?
only a documentation. We have a circular for performance evaluation for directors, and I suppose there already a submission. I'll try to find out if these documents for 2019 already been submitted to my office.
Kasi Mr. Dagpin, mainit po na usapin ngayon. Siguro nung pumutok na itong issue ng PhilHealth, dapat meron na kayo kaagad na ginawang hakbang ukol dito. Kasi that in itself, if he didn't perform satisfactorily, that could have been the basis to remove him immediately or at least not to have his term extended. Kayo, what was your personal assessment of him? You can tell us.
Based on the totality of the PhilHealth, for 2017 and 18, which is under my tenure, the PhilHealth did not pass the performance scorecard. For 2019, I have yet to validate because they submitted all the documents August 4 this month. So we need to validate these documents submitted per the performance scorecard so that I could assess also, being he is the president of PhilHealth, how PhilHealth is being managed.
Teka muna, so ang sinasabi nyo, sa 2017 and 2018, you already assessed that. You submitted it.
Yes.
Who was heading the PhilHealth at that time?
For 2017, it's De La Serna.
And what grade did you give him or what rating?
I have no record right now, but the one attending now is not part of one of the division, the corporate standard division. The other one there is the OGC. So
Hindi
I'm
mo
sorry,
matandaan.
can't give you
It was
the
just-
record right now.
That was just barely more than a year ago. I mean, 2017, diba, less than 2 years, iisa lang tao yan, di mo matandaan yung evaluation. So you're telling me that from the time that General Morales joined PhilHealth, you have no evaluation of him yet.
Yes, because it's a later part of 2018.
But
So I can only
I'm sure
validate him for 2019.
I'm sure if it was submitted to you August 4, I mean, I would hope that you browsed through some documents already regarding his case. What would you recommend to the body?
That is based on the data. I could not speculate right now, ma'am. So it would be unfair to judge him based on a conjecture.
Conjecture, really, huh?
Yeah,
With all of the data that we have, I guess you haven't really done your responsibility of reviewing, and especially it's already past the 1-year mark. Not only should you start the review when the 1-year mark has ended, but prior to that, you've already should have done your due diligence. Late na po kayo dito. Diba?
I not necessarily agree with that, ma'am, because if I could browse my document management system right now, I could see that record. I could not remember all the records because there are a lot of officers under the GOCC.
But surely, you know what, even prior to coming to our hearing, and you know that this is what was going to be discussed, it didn't even pique your interest to take a look at his records. I mean, you cannot use as an excuse, even if this is an appointment by whoever in government. It is your responsibility in the GCG to be able to find out how the ones that you recommended is actually performing. Section 13 of the UHC law requires all appointed members of the board shall be required to undergo training in healthcare, financing, health system, costing health services, and HTA prior to the start of their term. Non-compliance shall be a ground for dismissal. I would like to ask General Morales, did you actually have any of these training, and do you have proof that you participated in these?
I took the Institute for Corporate Directors course, ma'am, and I have proof of this.
Okay, how long was the training and who conducted that training?
It was conducted by the Institute for Corporate Directors. I think it was headed by Dr. Jesus Stanislao. And it ran for several weeks. It was an after office course. I'm not sure exactly how long it ran. I think I took it in the around 2012 before I got into the Mutual Benefit Association.
Okay, so can you tell me again the name of the name of this course?
Institute, well, I'll have to check, ma'am. I have to check the exact name, but it was conducted by the Institute of Corporate Directors and headed by Dr. Jesus Stanislao.
Okay, so what is it mainly? Is it a study in management? What was the course about?
Mostly board activities, ma'am. How the board decides, how policy is made, the dynamics in the board, and then we have lectures from actual board members from the corporate world. That was the content of the course.
Okay, since you yourself admitted that you have no prior experience in public health, what initiative or steps have you taken to make yourself more, aware of the public health situation in the country?
I have met with several associations, the Philippine Health Associations, the surgeons, the nephrologists, the nurses, personally face-to-face and now online. So I have exchanged with them. I try to keep this a constant activity, even with the OFWs. I have met with them several times online. So that is what I have done, ma'am, to get to know the members and the stakeholders of PhilHealth.
Then, if you say is true, what you say is true, then at least we should have expected the PhilHealth to be a little bit more responsive when it comes to that. But it seems like with the policies that you've had in the past few months that you've led the office, there's been a lot of complaints. a lot of hospitals are not being reimbursed properly. In fact, even your policies towards OFWs are being questioned. You're giving funding to hospitals that have less bed capacities than PGH, but who have received more from the government in terms of support. So these things makes us doubt that you're actually in tune with the public health sector. What can you say to that, General Morales?
These are not new issues, ma'am. They have already been in existence even before I was here. And I think they have been exacerbated by the COVID pandemic. So yes.
Meaning to say, these anomalies have been present since the past. So it is actually quite okay for you just to be leading such an organization with that type of track record.
No, ma'am.
So that's why I go back to my previous question during the last hearing. What steps have you taken to curb corruption in the PhilHealth? Ano pong ginawa ninyo para mabawasan man lang ang korupsyon sa PhilHealth?
Well, with the extent of corruption in PhilHealth, I appreciated that we needed to put in an information system. But I miscalculated the amount of time that it would take to put this up. I thought 1 year would be enough. And as we can see, it is not yet being implemented. And secondly,
yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, please.
PhilHealth needs a large-scale revamp. I was exploring, me and my Executive Vice President, we were looking for a global consulting firm that we could take on to help us in the transformation, because the skills necessary, the experience necessary to transform PhilHealth cannot be found inside PhilHealth. It has to be sourced outside. We have not found this external partner, although we are still hopeful that we can. I think the main issue here is the funding for this kind of engagement. So those are the two main things that we tried to do.
Mr. General Morales, number one, kahit na gaano kagaling ng IT system ninyo, kung ang mga tao papatakbo nito ay bulok, walang mangyayari. Pangalawa, sinabi na mismo nung isang resource person natin, I think chief of staff ba ninyo or one of your one of the ones assisting you, who quit. His name actually, I don't quite remember his name.
Laborte po, Laborte.
Yes. He mentioned that there are so many actually volunteering at a lower cost to provide you with IT support and other consultancy services, of which it was never really encouraged. In fact, yung walang mga lowest bidder kasi only one would bid in a particular project. So matanong ko sa inyo, can you give me a list of those that won the projects within the past year, or the ones that you considered to have been qualified? I would respectfully, I would ask the Secretariat to please ask for a copy of the companies that usually win bids with the PhilHealth.
Yes, ma'am. We have a list of companies, but these are providers. In my the way I look at them, they would not be capable of providing what PhilHealth needs. They can provide hardware, they can provide software, but the information system development of the scale needed by PhilHealth would need a major player.
Also, what's the name of the company that you chose that's a major player?
Wala pa ho kaming napipili. Wala pa. What we were looking at, we were imagining we could get something like Google or Microsoft.
Yes. Well, that would be ideal if they meet the requirements. But, you know, our country, I think we can boast of a lot of IT professionals here are very qualified. So it's very, well, almost unbelievable to say that a system like PhilHealth cannot find qualified individuals to be able to help you with your setup. Now, This is my last question, Mr. President. With regards to your qualification as an indirect contributor, it should be either you're identified with the DSWD, indigents, Pantawid Pampamilyang Pilipino, persons with disabilities, senior citizens. How can you identify with any of them?
Well, I'm a senior citizen, ma'am, so I guess I would qualify in that sector.
Yeah, but you know what? Being one of them does not mean that you qualify. What contributions have you done for the sector you identify with?
I cannot, in that case, just being a senior citizen, that's the only contribution I can show.
Well, okay. I guess that that raises also that these qualifications need to be clarified if we are to have an effective board. Di naman pwede, porket na kabataan official ka, pero you didn't really contribute for the betterment of that sector, that you will be considered as qualified for this. Now, let me ask Mr. Dagpin, and this is again the last one. In your scorecard of the performance of your recommended appointees, what would you consider as a category that will guide you in your evaluation? What categories would you have? Or what criteria? Dapat ba on time siya palagi sa trabaho? Kailangan ba yung balance sheet nila maayos? Tell me, how do you evaluate them?
Based on our 2014 circular, 60% is based on performance evaluation scorecard, your attendance, and the director performance rating, which is there is a self-assessment, there is peer grading with your colleagues. The one that's standing really is a 60% best.
Okay, kasi kung self-assessment at saka assessed by colleagues, baka mahirapan tayo dyan. Baka bigyan nila yung sarili nila ng perfect score. So where do you come in now when it comes to
the 60% performance evaluation system that's connected with the scorecard? So that is the overall performance of the GOCC. So we have the balanced scorecard, the strategic perspective, how GOCs are being run. We have there that GOCC contributed social impact, the stakeholders satisfaction.
Also,
yes, the finance.
Okay.
They provided the needed finance support with respect to PhilHealth. It's not really based on the dividends. That is their delivery of how the properly allocate their finance. Internal processes, that is how, just like the fraud investigation, how do you will address this one? Turnaround time of paying the claimants.
so Mr. Dagpin, with those criteria, mukhang babagsak ang head ng PhilHealth niyan.
Yes,
Kasi
because-
complaints, yes?
Yes, the last two has below average grade.
Okay, well, I thank you for your candidness at this point. That's what we wanted to drive at, that you are actually in touch with the situation, Mr. Dagpin. What we're trying to do here is this. It's unfortunate that General Morales is being advised by his doctor to take a medical. We certainly sympathize with him if he is ill. But on the other hand, maybe now that he is, he will realize also the processes that he has to go through to get a reimbursement with PhilHealth if he has to actually go through the same. And another thing is that if you leave for medical reasons, that does not necessarily put closure on your accountability and also your performance. So if somebody is just allowed to take a medical leave and not answer to the allegations, then that will not put at rest the issue that we are having right now. So that's all, Mr. President, and thank you for your time, colleagues, and to our resource persons for attending today.
Yes, thank you, Senator Go. Your questions made me recall something that wasn't clear to me earlier. So before I recognize Senator Hontiveros, just on the issue of assessment of performance, is General De Villa still online? Yes, I can see you here, General De Villa.
Yes po, sir. Mr. President, magandang hapon po. Andito po.
Yes, so earlier you mentioned 3 reasons why you resigned. Hindi ako ginawan doon sa third reason. Parang, can you please elaborate?
Yes, yes, sir.
Resign ka ba o pinag-resign ka?
Nag-resign po ako ng kusa. Nagkataon lang, sir, nagkaroon ng mga ibang instance. Kasi, sir, actually, sir, nung March pa lang, nung nagka-pandemic na talagang nangangamatay po talaga yung mga tao at nagkakasakit. Hindi natin alam, we are in a panic and pandemic, global. Naisip ko na rin po sa huwag lumabas. At wag dahil nga po, senior citizen na rin ako. Pero may trabaho po akong dapat gampanan eh. So, hindi muna po ako nag-resign talaga nung March pa. Tapos March 19 something, nag-lockdown na. And then, ito nga pong tuloy-tuloy lang po ang trabaho ko, sir. Yung ikatlo po yung sabi ko nga, the institution of PhilHealth is being attacked by so many allegations of corruption at katiwalian. So might as well it's an honorable thing for me, sir, to sideline muna para kasi kino-question nga po eh. So yun po yung delikadesa.
Kasama ka ba sa mga kini-question, Brad?
Sir?
Kasama ka ba sa mga kini-question? O ikasa ka sa mga nagque-question?
Sir, actually, sir, dun sa EXICOM meeting namin, sir. Actually, sir, going back to the morning of August 6, I had a talk through cell phone kay Sir Morales. Yung nga po, he talked about on the things that some of the members of the EXICOM, ibang SBP, don't trust me. No? It's, for me, it's their right.
How did you know that they don't trust you?
It was told by General Morales po sa akin talaga. No? Through yung maga, kinamusta nga niya ako, kinamusta ko rin siya. Nasa office na po ako noon. That was around before 8, 7:30. Yata, or a little past 8. Hindi ko po alam hindi ko na matandaan, sir, yung totoong oras. So, nung sinabi niya, sir, sa akin, some of the SBPs do not trust me. Ang sa akin po, talagang nalungkot din ako ron. Sabi ko I'm doing, I'm doing a very good job here in the operation. And hinaharap ko nga yung pandemic, sir, every day. I don't have any driver since nag-lockdown po. Nagta-travel po ako mula Alabang hanggang sa Pasig office namin. Araw-araw, Monday to Friday, ako po talaga yung nag-work from home ako isang araw lang yata, 2 araw. Anyway, ito pong nangyari po, maybe, yung mga kasama ko sa EXICOM, siyempre po, right naman nila yun na pagdudahan po ako. So, isa pang tanong doon
General?
Sir, opo. Mr. President.
Ano pinagdududa sa'yo at bakit nawala na tiwala?
Hindi ko rin po alam, sir, pero I have some theories po, Mr. President. Yung pong isa doon, hindi po kasi ako masyado nagpa-participate doon sa EXICOM chatroom namin sa Messenger na doon po nagdi-discuss even at night, discuss kami ng mga yung mga trabaho po sa PhilHealth. Nakaugalian ko pong magbasa lang at kung meron po kasi akong for security reasons, hindi ko na po pinopost sa chatroom. Kunwari po, may tanong po ako sa isang SBP, nagbe-message na lang po ako ng personal sa kanya, private message. Kaya hindi po nakikita talaga doon na nagpa-participate ako sa PHIC Execom. Yun po ang isa sa mga yung parang nabanggit po ni Sir Morales. And I appreciate po, I'm very grateful to Sir Morales na sinabihan ako na gano'n na yung ibang SBPs doesn't trust me. Nung August 4, halos in 10 hours na hearing po sa Senate, ang natanong pa po talaga doon ay sa opening statement po ni Attorney Torson Kit yun sa pagpunit ng isang parte ng kontrata, which is talaga namang hindi na po ako ang signatory doon, at saka nagsumbo nga po si Colonel Laborte sa akin na sobrang overpriced, and sabi ko hindi ako makapayag niya kasi when I was still in the military, napakaingat ko sa procurement, at wala namang problema kahit na award na yon, I can return it, the papers can be returned and re-evaluate and reviewed. So yun po. Tapos po, ang isa pang theory ko yung paminsan-minsan during Execom, which is almost always present naman po ako. May mga instances, sir, na siyempre po ako po baguhan lang, buwan pa lang ako sa PhilHealth. Nagtatanong po ako, no? Yung mga instances, sir, gusto ko po, ang natutunan ko po sa AFP, nililimit namin yung agenda for discussion, yung mga Monday conference po. Kasi Mr. President, kumpleto na po. Kasi pag pinag-usapan po dapat ang isang agenda sa Monday conference meeting or Execom meeting namin, meron ng complete stop work. No? Meaning, marami na pong mga division or departments na nag-uusap dyan bago i-present sa Execom meeting. Execom meeting for me is very, very important. One step to board presentation na po kasi ito So, yun po, maingat. So, minsan, I saw that other agendas are, medyo hilaw pa for presentation sa Execom. That's one. And then, I think there should be some more discussions in IRM.
At pinupunan mo yun.
And
Ano ba yun, General?
Mr. President.
Pinupunan mo.
Opo. Mr. President, isa pong napupuna ko doon pag nasa Execom meeting kami. I think there should be some more discussion in the collection of premium ng OFW po, kung maaalala ko. Yun po. Parang meron ako, I'm thinking of wala nang trabaho tong mga tao galing ibang bansa. And parang naisip ko po yung timing, other
Villa, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Mr. Vice Chairman, sir. Opo.
Medyo mahaba yung explanation. Ang siguro, the long and short of it, ang gusto mo sabihin, bago pa man magkaroon ng formal discussion sa Execom, tapos na yung decision. Is that what you're trying to say?
Ano po
Sa mga informal discussions,
may mga ganun, sir. May mga ganun, sir. Pero ang iniisip ko, sir, parang hindi pa kumpleto po yung staff work.
Right.
Opo.
But ang point mo nga is, no, I'm not trying to make a conclusion, pero I'm just expressing my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Based also on some information that we got doon tungkol sa nangyari sa Execom.
Yes, sir.
For discussion, wala na halos discussion. Kasi yari na. Sa chat room, sa informal discussion, sa mga Execom, natapos na yung decision. So sinasabi mo, wala na masyadong nadidiscuss. Maski sa point of view mo, kung pa yung dapat i-discuss, pero tapos na. Is that what you're trying to say?
Hindi po kasi diretso. Tama po kayo, Mr.
Tama.
Chairman, sir.
Tama
Pero
nga.
not always, sir.
I'm
In
saying for the
interest
time,
naman,
no?
sir. Opo. Sir,
I
yung
thought
isa
you
pa po,
opposed- General Villa, I was told that you opposed the IRM yung implementation during the time when it was being discussed during the Execom. Totoo ba yan?
meron lang po
Opposition ka
akong,
sa implementation ng IRM?
Mr. Chairman, meron po kasi akong recommendation on the prioritization of areas na dapat bigyan. May proposition po ako, i-classify natin yung based on the number of COVID patients na incidents. And at that time, sir, ang epicenter po natin, sir, March and early April, and most of the April is NCR talaga, sir. Dito po marami tayo. Yung UPPGH, then RITM, San Lazaro, everything, Sir Reyes. Marami po tayong COVID patient dito, NKTI lang center. Being a medical doctor, sir, tinitingnan ko po, sir, yung incidents po talaga at saka yung deaths. Sinusundan ko po talaga yon. So, this is real. This is very dangerous. Itong COVID-19 po. And ang theory ko po na isa na sa sinabi po ni Sir Morales, yung close association ko, maybe my close association with number 1 po kay BM Alcabading, which is naging my friend na po. At nung active service pa po ako as a general, sir, in the AFP Health Service Command. Under ko po yung Western Mindanao Command in Zamboanga and the Camp Chidolo Bautista Hospital in Jolo. So pag nagpupunta po si Presidente Duterte po, nakakasama po ako nila Chief of Staff doon. Kasi nag-award po siya ng mga sugatang sundalo doon. There were some occasions, nakikita ko po si Sir Alcabading. So the next time that nagkita kami, nasa PhilHealth na, retired na po ako. Siya naman po ay board member. So, si Sir Alcabading, siguro yung association ko doon, baka isa na rin po sa pinagdududahan sa akin. At lalo na po kay Cardel Laborte, at saka si former PNP Senior Inspector Attorney Torson Kit. Halos madalas kami po mag-breakfast doon sa office ko, nagkukwentuhan po. Yun po, siguro sila po ito ngayon, nagsasabi ng mga ganyan. At ako po naman nasa opisina pa. I really, siguro baka naman talagang doon ako pinagdudahan. Now yun po, nalungkot po ako. Ba't nila ako pagdududahan, no? So, for me, sir,
General De Villa, bago lumayo
yes,
pa. No?
Mr. President.
I was just interested.
Apo.
Sinabi mo na General Morales told you that hindi ka na, they do not trust you and therefore it's better for you to resign.
Wala naman, sir, in fairness to General Morales, wala naman po sinabi.
Oh yeah. Well,
Mr. President.
wala akong nakikita kay General Morales. Pero what we're overhearing here is that parang mas powerful yung executive committee kaysa kay General Morales. Hindi bale kung si General Morales na wala ng tiwala sa'yo, pero ba't Exicom na wala ng tiwala sa'yo? Ano ngayon, di ba? Si General Morales dapat. Di ba? What do you think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pero, sir, for me, sa tingin ko po nung August 6 ng magang yun, it's an honorable thing for me to resign. And siyempre po, you're going to work with your colleagues, but apparently, may nagsabi na sa'yo, and no less than the President CEO, na yung ibang SBP may walang tiwala sa akin. So, yun po talagang ikinalungkot ko. And maybe it's time for me to go.
All right, thank you.
Opo.
All right. We will now recognize Senator Risa Ontiveros. Senator Ontiveros.
Thank you, Mr. President. Salamat.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fellow Senators, sa tingin ko po malinaw naman kung bakit nandito tayong lahat ngayon sa gitna ng dineklarang MECQ sa Metro Manila. We are here to clean up PhilHealth. We're here to get to the bottom of serious, disgusting allegations of corruption. Personally, as sick and tired as I am of having to correct fake news from 4 years ago, linking me to PhilHealth irregularities, I'm even more sick and tired of the fact that in the middle of the largest health crisis ever to hit our country, nobody is being held accountable for the largest amount of allegedly corrupted funds in PhilHealth's history. Nung binabasa ko po yung transcript ng hearing natin last week, pati ang transcript po nung August 2019. Parang valuable lang ang mga paratang na mga aligasyon na ito Mindanao Mafia, ito hindi. At tulad ni Senate President Pro Tempore, Sen. Ralph, gusto ko ring malaman hanggang saan ang involvement ni Secretary Duque. Why is the Health Secretary unscathed in all of this? Gayong since 2001, Secretary Duque has always had some connection to PhilHealth. From 2001 to 2005 as its president, 2005 to 2009 as chairperson of the board, 2010 to 2017 as member of the board, and from 2017 to present again as chair of the board. It was during Sec Duque's term as PhilHealth president that Plan 5 million was conceived. The distribution of free PhilHealth cards to make up the shortfall of a certain candidate against then candidate Fernando Poe Jr. We also learned in the August 19 hearing that the mafia members circumvent reassignment by benefiting from the delayed decisions of the Civil Service Commission. Sino ang head ng CSC mula 2010 hanggang 2015? Si Sec Duque. Finally, according to the 2019 board meeting attendance of PhilHealth, Sec Duque was present in 15 out of 18 meetings for last year. He was also allegedly informed about the PhilHealth mafia by former President Ferrer. So he cannot feign ignorance. Tama na. Let's get to the bottom of this. If we want structural change, alugin natin. Expose the sacred cows, expose the conflicts, most of all, expose the backers. Noong August 2019, may 7 pinangalanan na Mindanao Group of PhilHealth Mafia si former President Dr. Roy Ferrer at former board member Dr. Roberto Salvador. Last week, August 4, 2020, iba namang mga pangalan ang binanggit ni Mr. Alejandro Cabading noong hinimok siya ni Sen. Bongo kung sino ba ang tinutukoy na mafia. So, Mr. Chairman, una kong tanong kay Attorney Keith. Attorney, isa-isahin ko po ngayon ang mga pangalan ng nabanggit na Mindanao Group of PhilHealth Mafia at gusto ko pong sabihin nyo sa akin kung kilala mo sila at kung kino-confirm nyo bilang dating anti-fraud officer na sila nga ay bahagi ng mafia. Ang sabi po kasi ni board member Salvador, lahat daw ng nasa PhilHealth alam na sila daw ang mafia. At lalo na siguro kayo na fraud ang o anti-fraud ang trabaho nyo.
Yes, ma'am.
Johan Paulo Perez, member ba ng mafia?
Hindi ko masyadong kilala.
Hindi nyo masyadong kilala. Kali Kuzman Makabato.
Hindi ko siya masyadong kilala. Hindi ko pa siya namimit.
Hindi nyo pa namimit. William Chavez.
Hindi ko siya masyadong kilala.
Dennis Adre.
Sa Central Office. Si Dennis Adre, ma'am, hindi po siya member ng mafia, ma'am.
Hindi. Isa siya sa pinangalanan ni dating President Ferrer at dating board member Salvador. Pero pag tinanong ko sa inyo, sila ba ay member ng mafia? Anong sagot nyo?
Hindi, ma'am. Sa akin yan, ma'am. Sa investigation ko ngayon, hindi, ma'am.
Sa investigation nyo, hindi. Si Dr. Miriam Grace Pamonag, siya ba ay member ng mafia?
Hindi ko siya namimit, ma'am.
Hindi nyo na-meet.
Yes, ma'am.
Masiding Alonto.
Hindi po siya member ng ma'am, ng PhilHealth Mafia, ma'am. I met
Hindi
him, ma'am.
siya member. Hindi siya member ng mafia. Attorney Valerie Holiero.
Hindi po, ma'am.
Hindi. And Attorney Galicto.
Hindi ko pa siya namimit, ma'am.
Hindi nyo namimit. So sa mga pangalang ito, yung iba hindi nyo pa namimit, yung iba sinabi nyo hindi member ng mafia. Naimbestigahan nyo ba kahit sino sa kanila na pinangalan ng mafia noong 2019?
As of now, ma'am, wala silang capacity to steal. Wala silang capacity to steal. Wala silang pan dito sa central office.
So naimbestigahan nyo na sila at na-establish nyo na hindi sila member ng mafia ngayon kasi wala silang capacity magnakaw ngayon.
Wala po silang hinahawakan na office dito sa central office, ma'am, to steal money. As of sa akin, ma'am, sa aking personal knowledge.
Sa inyo personally?
Yes, ma'am.
Pero naimbestigahan nyo ba yung alleged activities nila nung last year, 2019?
Hindi ko po na-imbestigahan.
Hindi nyo na-imbestigahan. Matanong ko naman po si Mr. Cabading. Bilang kayo po yung nagpangalan nung August 4, 2020 hearing namin, kayo po nagpangalan sa mga mafia. Ang mga nabanggit ko bang mga pangalan from August 2019 ay hindi miyembro ng mafia? Mr. Cabading, si Johan Paulo Perez po ba? Hindi ba siya member ng mafia?
No.
Oh, very categorical. Si Kalikuzman Makabato?
No.
Si William Chavez?
No. Mr. President, no.
Dennis Adre?
Not Mr. Chair. No.
Hindi din. Dr. Miriam Grace Pamonag?
Not. Negative, Mr. Chair.
Negative. Si Masiding Alonto?
Negative.
Negative
Mr.
rin.
Chair.
Si Attorney Valerie Holiero?
No, for sure.
No. And for sure, and last but not the least, Attorney Galicto?
No, Mr.
Hindi
Chair.
rin. So, nagsinungaling si former President Ferrer. Nagsinungaling si dating board member Salvador sa pagpapangalanan sa kanila.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, what I understand are these are the people who actually brought the issue of corruption last year that led to the investigation in the Senate. And they were lumped up as the mafia. But in my definition, they are the modern day heroes mafia. And these are the guys who actually briefed me about the operation of PhilHealth, specifically on the issue of the reason why we're there is to find out whether or not there is truth to the allegation of corruption. Lahat po ng mga information binibigay sa akin galing po sa kanila. These are the good guys around.
And so sa definition ninyo, nagsinungaling si former President Ferrer at sa definition ninyo, nagsinungaling si former board member Salvador sa pagpapangalan sa kanila bilang mafia members.
These are my understanding based on my personal engagement with this name supposed mafia.
So hindi totoo yung sinabi ni former President Ferrer at hindi totoo yung sinabi ni former board member Salvador.
Yes, I would just simply categorically say no, it's not.
It's not true. So they lied. They told a lie about these people. Sa definition nyo.
Yeah, personally my conviction is that would be my interpretation, Your Honor.
Salamat sa categorical na sagot. Ngayon, Mr. President, nandito ba ngayon kasama natin kahit sino dun sa pinangalanan na miyembro ng mafia list noong August 2019? Andito po ba sina Mr. Perez, Makabato, Chavez, Adre, Doktora Pamonag, Mr. Alonto, Attorney Holiero o Attorney Galicto? I don't hear any of them speaking up, so I presume wala po sila. Sana po, Mr. Chair, maimbita po sila sa susunod na pagdinig natin. Follow-up question, Mr. Cabading. So to confirm, yes, Mr. Chair.
Kasi bilis maubos yung time nyo.
Yes.
Names that you were mentioning that we should invite.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Ito po
Those
yung...
that you were asking Attorney Kate and Attorney Cabading.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I-submit ko po yung mga pangalan ni...
Those are the whistleblowers last year.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ferrer was removed.
Yes.
Why do we need to
Yeah.
invite them? We can just look at the records of their testimonies last year.
We could also do that, Mr. Chair, pero may mga particular follow-up questions ko sanang gustong itanong sa kanila kung maaaring maimbita po ng Committee of the Whole. I'll leave it to the discretion of the chair, of course, but I am requesting it of the Committee of the Whole.
Consider.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Kabading, to confirm, lahat po ng mga impormasyon na ina-expose nyo now sa Committee of the Whole at sa publiko ay galing sa mga tao na dati in-identify na Mindanao Mafia kuno, in-identify noong 2019. Galing po sa kanila itong mga impormasyon. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Kabading.
Mostly, Your Honor.
Mostly.
Mostly. The IT part, that was my part. But
All
I
right.
already heard about this allegation about IT. But it was personal knowledge on the IT part last December when it was sought to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kabading. And na-appreciate po ng Committee of the Whole yung dagdag na impormasyong iyon tungkol sa IT part. Ngayon po, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang tanungin kung yung mga pinangalanan na sa mafia list ng August 2020 ay nandirito. I believe yung si SVP Rodolfo Del Rosario is still here. And nakita ko kanina si SVP Dennis Mas. Andito rin po ba si SVP Renato Limsiaco?
Nandito po.
Andito kayo, sir. And nandito po ba si Corporate Secretary Jonathan Mangawang?
Dito po, ma'am.
Nandito, salamat. All right, I have some questions for all of you. Kahit tanungin ko ang tig-isa sa inyo sa bawat tanong, just to get a sense from the four of you, no, kung ano yung isasagot nyo sa aming Committee of the Whole. Tanungin ko muna si SVP Del Rosario. Ngayon, kayo naman po, SVP, ang tatanungin ko. Sino po yung sinasabing mafia?
Afternoon. Sinasabing mafia nino po. Kasi magkakaibang versions po yung
Kaya nga po, so sino, kung tatanungin ko kayo, sino po yung mafia?
Yung word na mafia po ay hindi po galing sa PhilHealth. Ito po ay kay General Renato Acop. No? He mentioned it during the July 2, 2018 committee hearing of the Committee on Health in the House of Representatives. That was my first day at the legal sector. Wala po pasok sa Pasig noon, Pasig Day. So we were physically present in the House of Representatives. And the good general told us that there is a mafia operating at PhilHealth. So at sabi niya, marami diyang mga cases that has been pending for years. So yun po ang reason kaya po kami nag-inventaryo ng mga kaso sa PhilHealth.
And I'm sure, SVP, kung may ginamit na ganong kaseryosong term si Rep. Acop, he would have good reasons of his own. I presume that even without asking him now, dahil siya po yung naging boss nung late husband ko na naging PNP officer din noon. Pero yun na nga, kung kayo po yung tatanungin ko, kayo po SVP Del Rosario, hindi po si Rep. Acop, sino po ang mafia? Or kahit hindi natin gamitin yung terminong yon, sino po yung grupo sa loob na merong improper, sobrang impluensya sa loob ng PhilHealth at nagiging ugat, nagpapatakbo ngayon nitong mga sinasabing katiwalian?
The people that were named by Dr. Roy Ferrer, sila po yung nung nag-inventaryo po kami ng mga cases, there were cases pending against them that has remained unacted for the longest time. I was also told by General Acop na may problema din sa legal. So I also conducted inventory of cases legal. At nakita ko nga doon, there were around 3,000 cases that were archived. No? So ayun po yung naging resulta po ng aming initial investigation. So we forwarded this report to the PhilHealth Board of Directors, and the PhilHealth Board of Directors decided on the pending investigations. And that's the reason why several administrative charges were filed.
Well, SVP, parang nasa Alice in Wonderland na tayo, curiouser and curiouser. Kasi sinasabi nyo ngayon sa Committee of the Whole, mafia, yung kasasabi lang na good guys at saka yung heroes, no? Crusaders. Okay, tanungin ko naman kay SVP Dennis Mas. Bakit sa tingin ninyo kayo pinangalanan? Kung sinasabi ninyo na wala naman kayong kasalanan, SVP Mas, anong dahilan?
Actually, isip na ako bakit ako nasama dyan eh.
Ba't kayo pinangalanan na kayo daw yung mafia? Kahit sinasabi nyo wala naman kayong kasalanan.
Una-una yung mga yan, wala naman yan sa task ko, yung mga procurement ng IT, yung mga issues sa financial statements. Hindi ko rin alam bakit ko na pangalanan.
SVP Mas, medyo hindi ko marinig yung sagot nyo. Pero are you saying na may mga issue na talagang magigive rise sa pagdududa kaya kayo inaakusahan na mafia?
Ay, hindi naman.
Hindi. Okay, kasi hindi ko marinig mabuti yung sagot nyo eh.
Mga understanding, may mga misunderstanding, pero I don't think na may mga mafia na yan. Kaya kailangan natin i-professionalize yung ating office. And then mag-embark na tayo sa reorganization para dapat itama, no? Sa proseso, sa organization, and then kasama na rin doon yung pag-improve, no, ng relationship ng mga tao.
Although I have to say, sa takbo nitong pagdinig namin so far, second day, this goes way beyond misunderstanding. At kaya, ayun, lumalabas, nag-aakusahan ang iba't ibang grupo. Hindi lang iisa pala yung kailangan naming ibunyag. Maybe there's more than one. Tanungin ko po si SVP Limsiaco, meron po bang dahilan yung mga nag-aakusa sa inyo na kayo daw yung mafia, dahilan para gumawa ng akusasyon laban sa inyo?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, mayong hapon, Senadora.
Mayong hapon man.
Hindi ko maintindihan kung saan nanggagaling ang galit nila sa akin kung bakit ako ay tinawag na mafia.
Okay, well, kung hindi nyo alam, yun yung gusto naming alamin dito sa Senate Committee of the Whole. Kaya ako kayo tinatanong. Last for this question kay Corporate Secretary Mangawang. Corsec, kayo naman po ang aking tatanungin. Sino ang mafia?
I would rather give presumption of regularity in the performance of all officers of PhilHealth. So, otherwise, Madam Senator, Mr. President, I cannot name anyone.
Sorry, hindi ko rin kayo marinig mabuti. But again, this goes way beyond presumption of regularity. No? Ganitong kaseryosong mga aligasyon. At ngayon, nag-aakusahan ng iba't ibang mga grupo ng dapat mga responsableng opisyal sa loob ng PhilHealth. So, wala kayong itutukoy sa amin na mafia, Corsec Mangawang?
Wala po, Madam Sen.
Wala. Alright. Kami na lang po ang magtukoy kung sino ba talaga ang mafia or mga mafia na iyan. President Morales, PCEO Morales, kung maaari po kayong matanong, nandito po ba kayo? Mr. Chair, dito pa po ba si...
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Yeah.
Salamat. Okay, salamat, President.
Give me an extension of 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. PCO Morales, do you still maintain that there is a group of people called the Mindanao Group? Paalala po, you disclosed this to us during the August 2019 hearing. Noong pong PhilHealth President pa lamang kayo for 6 weeks. Sabi niyo po noon, and I quote, yes, there were 3 senior vice presidents, original vice presidents, who were resisting rotation, and they comprised the Mindanao Group. I don't know their names, but they said they were regional vice presidents from the Mindanao Group. Sino po sila, President?
Yeah, but if I remember right, ma'am, because at that time, to me, it was hearsay. I did not know them personally. I think they were Dato Masinding Alonto, who is now the regional vice president of Region 10, and then Dennis Adre, and I'm not sure who the other one was, but I'll try to recollect.
All right, President. For this round, one more question for you. Ngayong presidente na kayo for more than a year, baka kaya mo na kaming dito sa Committee of the Whole bigyan ng latag, no? Sino-sino ba talaga ang may inordinate, yung hindi tamang impluwensya sa loob ng PhilHealth?
That would be difficult to pinpoint, ma'am, because our regional vice presidents are more or less independent. They have a lot of flexibility within their regions.
I understand that, President. I'm not talking about mga RVP na nagtatrabaho ng maayos. Pero ito pa rin pagtukoy ng mga may group, may mafia, so-called, na labas pa sa regular structure ng PhilHealth. Pero sila ang in effect, nagdidikta sa takbo ng PhilHealth sa halip na yung proper leadership structure, national at regional sa PhilHealth.
Okay. At least two, ma'am, si Alonto and Macabato, because I could not move them.
All right, Mr. President. Babalikan ko na lang po yung ibang follow-up questions sa inyo sa next round. Salamat. Mr. President, at this point, gusto ko lang bigyang diing lastly, something I raised at the beginning, no? Si Sec Duque po, ang tanging may institutional memory sa liderato ng PhilHealth. Hindi na lumabas sa Board of Directors si Sec Duque since 2001, liban sa isang taon, no? 2016. So, halos 2 dekada din. So hanggang saan ang involvement at knowledge ni Sec Duque sa mga problemang ito sa loob ng PhilHealth? Sa tingin ko, dapat hindi tahimik si Sec Duque dito. Bilyong-bilyong piso at sa tingin ko ay systematic na nga ang pangungurakot sa loob ng PhilHealth. Dito posible kung walang mafia o grupo, mga mafia o mga grupo sa loob. At hindi rin to posible kung walang mga backer. Para finally malinis natin ang ahensya, dapat matuntun na natin at mabuwag ang mga grupo o mafia, ano pang pangalan niyan sa loob. So that's all for now. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you. Well, you were saying Secretary Duque was in the PhilHealth for how long?
2 decades, Mr. President, mula 2001. Kaya I'm really hoping makadalo sila sa susunod na hearing. Opo.
Until?
Mr. President, hanggang sa ngayon, 20 years uninterrupted except for year 2016.
All right. So you were together. You worked together. You were there in PhilHealth, di ba?
Yes, Mr. President. Nandun ako mula November 2014 hanggang October 2015. And before me, during the 11 months nandun ako, lampas sa akin, andun si Sec Duque in different capacities.
Okay, thank you. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Villanueva, you're next. We have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. At the outset, let me just put on record ang ating taus-pusong pasasalamat sa mga PhilHealth workers na mga nakakausap natin at nagsusumbong sa atin, nagbibigay ng mga impormasyon at gusto kong banggitin yung halos lahat sinasabi nila na mas marami pa rin na PhilHealth workers ang matitino at galit sa korupsyon. Mr. President, the allegations of corruption in PhilHealth ay worse pa than COVID-19. Alam niyo kung bakit? Because it's more virulent, Mr. President. Ang dami pong nahawahan. At kanina, halos left and right yung sinasabing mafia. Bumabaha na pala ng mafia. Ngayon lang, totally dumagundong sa 4 na sulok ng ating bansa. Hindi lang po mga opisyal ng PhilHealth, kundi pati yung kanilang proseso, kanilang sistema, tulad ng interim reimbursement mechanism, provisional accreditation, etc. At ang problema po, Ginoong Pangulo, parang asintomatiko. Alam na nila na may irregularidad, alam nilang may mafia, alam nilang may inefficiency, alam naman nila na may favoritism, pero parang wala po silang nararamdaman. Ito yung nakakalungkot po at ang resulta ay kawalan ng sense of urgency. Binanggit kanina ng mismong chair ng COA, si Chairman Aguinaldo, na siya mismo have serious reservations doon po sa IRM. Si Commissioner ng PACC, Commissioner Belica, made mention na tila baga at mukhang klaro sa atin na sila na lamang po yung nagkakaintindihan at sila lamang po yung sumasang-ayon sa isa't isa. Having said that, Mr. President, I will try to keep short my questioning. And last week po, doon sa ating pagdinig, binanggit po yung dalawang existing payment mechanisms ng PhilHealth. Ito yung regular payment of claims at itong IRM. Itong IRM, gusto ko pang pagdiinan ng pansin dahil napakadami hong complaints na natatanggap ng ating opisina. And last week, Mr. President, PhilHealth also informed us that it has released 14.9 billion pesos to various healthcare facilities under its interim reimbursement mechanism. Matanong ko lang po si General Morales, based ho kasi doon sa report ng PhilHealth, doon sa payment to hospitals at yung huling report po nila nung inanex po doon sa 7th Bayanihan Report, yung following freestanding dialysis clinics benefited from the IRM. No? Ito, may table po ako dito and I'd like the Secretariat to show the table. Dito po, may papakita natin itong mga freestanding dialysis clinics. No? Mula po dyan sa, ayan, sikat na itong B. Brown Avitum na sinasabi nila na ng mga ilang officials na hindi paborito, pero baka pagkatapos po itong aking questioning, magbago na po ang isip ng ating mga officials sa PhilHealth at talagang makitang merong kahinahinala po dito dahil kung hindi, nakakalungkot po. No? Ang tanong po natin, General Morales, how much is the pending claims under PhilHealth's regular payment of claims dito po sa mga freestanding dialysis clinics?
I don't have, wala akong exact data ngayon pero mabibigay ho namin sa inyo yan. Yung mga freestanding dialysis clinics. Kung mapapansin nyo ho, ito mga dialysis clinics na to, nakalocate sila sa NCR, merong isang Benguet, pero ito ho yung mga high COVID affected areas. Ito ho yung isang dahilan kung bakit kahit hindi sila ho COVID service ang binibigay, nasasakupan ho sila nung pandemic na sinasabi sa Bayanihan Law. So,
gusto ko Opo, General Morales, gusto ko pong tignan ninyo itong B. Brown Avitum, no? Ayan po, yung una sa Benguet, sa NCR, meron sa Quezon City, dalawa, and then sa Maynila, meron din pong dalawa. Pakita nyo po dun sa kabilang slide. Mapapansin po ninyo, ang IRM limit, gusto ko kong itanong, no? Yung IRM limit, paano po nako-compute itong IRM limit? At pag tinignan nyo po ito, sa B. Brown na lang po yung tignan natin. Yung saktong IRM limit, yun din po yung nare-release. Gusto kong maintindihan, paano po ito?
Yung IRM limit ho ay base sa 90-day historical claim ng clinic. So itong halimbawa ho, itong sa Benguet, itong 11,375,000 niya. Yan ho yung equivalent sa 90-day claim niya nung lumipas na taon. So kaya ho may mga limit yan para hanggang doon lang ho ang pwedeng i-claim ng mga clinic. Meron din ho mga clinic na hindi ho sinagad yung kanilang IRM at meron din ho mga clinic at sa mga hospital na hindi rin ho nag-avail ng IRM.
Uulitin ko po yung tanong ko, General Morales, paano po nako-compute yung IRM limit? Yung sinasabi nyo pong hindi sinagad, kayo po yung nagre-release eh.
Opo, kami po nagre-release. Ang pag-compute ho, titignan ho natin yung kanilang claims last year, yung claims record nila, divided by, sa tingin ko, 365 days, tapos times 90, yun ho yung entitlement nila sa IRM.
Okay, tingnan po natin ulit itong B Brown, no? Yung B Brown, lahat po ng IRM limit niya, yung limit niya, yun din po yung release. Hindi ko na po babanggitin yung binanggit na ni Senator Lacson. Yung for example, dito sa B Brown Abitum, dito sa NCR 2nd District, 8,946,000 tsaka 5,302,000. Ang MOA received April 22, pero in May 8, na-release na po kagad. Ilan yung na-release? Kung ilan yung IRM limit, na-release po lahat. Now, let me go forward, Mr. President. No? Ang gusto nating i-point out dito, and kanina binanggit ni Commissioner Bellica, it appears na walang validation ng mechanism. Itong IRM, puntahan po natin yung next slide. No? And my question is, what explains the fact that all of the freestanding dialysis receive 100% of their IRM limit, whereas this is not the case for a number of hospitals. Ito yung mga hospitals. Ito pong mga hospitals na ito ay COVID-referred hospitals. Yung kaninang listahan na 100% na nire-release yung pong IRM limit, hindi po COVID referral hospitals. Bago yan, dun sa slide, pakita lang natin kung gaano kadami itong mga ospital na ito, please. Mula po dyan sa Batangas Medical Center, Cagayan Valley Medical Center, sa Region 2, sa Isabela, sa Bawan. Pakita lang po natin sa slide, please. Yan po, yung 4th slide. Ayan po, General Morales. Lahat po yan, hindi nakatanggap ng IRM limit nila. Pero yan, yung mga nangangailangan, kasi may pandemya COVID-referred hospitals po yan. Now, let me go doon sa 3 hospital na lang. Tignan po natin yung 3 hospital. Ito po, yung Batangas Medical Center. Baka magalit si Brad Ralph dito. Yung pong IRM limit niya is 100+ million. Pero ang release, 50 million lang. 50.6%. Yung sa Balayan, ang IRM limit, 12 million lang. Pero ang nirelease, 6 million lang. Sa Lipa Medical Center, I think this is in Batangas also, ganun din po. No? Tapos meron pa akong isa doon sa Isabela. Southern Isabela Medical Center. 51 million lang po ang nirelease, not even half of the IRM limit. So again, usual po ba ito, General Morales?
Yung pong kanilang kukunin na IRM, depende ho yan sa i-apply ng hospital. Ang binibigay namin sa kanila yung limit, pero nasa kanila na ho kung gusto nilang sagarin, or in this case ho, mukhang hindi ho nila sinagad. So nasa diskarte ho ng hospital yan kung sasagarin nila yung IRM or hindi.
If I'm the hospital, General Morales, siyempre gusto ko sagadin. I'm sure yun ang gusto nila, no? But if I may ask sila, Attorney Kit, what can you say about this? If I recall, Attorney Kit, you made mention in the past that sa paggamit nitong IRM, you should have a pending claims first to be eligible dito sa IRM. And the current IRM that na pinapatupad ng PhilHealth does not require it anymore. Is this correct? So parang lumalabas po kasi parang cash advance na lang po ito, purely cash advance.
Yes, sir. Yes, Senator. Para po kasing pinamimigay na lang nila yung pera dyan, sir. Kasi yun nga po, sir, wala nang sabi nila deferred. Saka optional. Saka po, sir, makikita nyo dyan, sir, yung may favoritism. Ang po kasi, ang pera po kasi ng gobyerno, sir, tinitipid talaga yan para, inaayos talaga para mapunta sa dapat mapuntahan. Ngayon po, sir, kung yung ganyan po, sir, yung i-malverse mo, i-embezzle mo, mas appropriate mo sa isang purpose, that is already a crime, sir. Because there will be an undue injury to the government, which is defined by the Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Republic Act 3019, paragraph 3E, sir. So nagkaroon na po ng undue injury dyan, sir, kasi yung mga ibang nangangailangan, wala silang magamit na pera. Yung mga hindi nangangailangan, ang dami nilang pera. So there is a undue injury to the government, sir. Which can amount also to plunder na yan, sir, kasi napakalaking pera, more than 50 billion, sir, billions po yan, sir. 14.9 billion, sir, na parang hindi siya mismanaged. It is deliberately nilagay-lagay dyan dahil for some purpose. Thank you, Senator, sir.
Thank you. No? Pag tinignan mo itong mga facilities, itong mga hospital, puro mga COVID-referred hospitals ito, pero hindi maibigay yung IRM limit. So pag tinignan nyo po ito, sa aking initial na pagtingin, usually parang 60 to 70% lang yung nire-release. Pero surprisingly, yung mga paborito, yung mga pinagpala, 100%. Hindi ho ba ito red flag na, Attorney Kit?
Yes, sir. That is red flag na po yun, sir. Kasi nagkakaroon na po siya ng undue injury to the government. Yung pera ng tao na ipinagkatiwala sa gobyerno na pupunta sa ibang pamamaraan. Nawawalan po yung nangangailangan, napupunta lang po doon sa hindi nangangailangan na nagkakaroon sa ng spillages. Yun po yun, sir. Salamat po, sir.
Thank you. Ginoong Pangulo, no, I just want to put this on record. Kasi yung IRM o Interim Reimbursement Mechanism po ng PhilHealth ngayon, sa totoo lang, ang tingin po natin dito inequitable reimbursement mechanism. Paano pong hindi? Ginagamit po itong IRM para sa mga pinagpalang clinics o favored clinics ng PhilHealth. And the numbers would speak for themselves. No? Yung freestanding dialysis clinics, ang releases ay 100% ng kanilang IRM limit. Samantalang ito po, napakaraming ospital, 60, 70% lang ang limit nila na inire-release. Now let me go forward, Mr. President. No? Tungkol naman po dito sa provisional accreditation. May data po.
If you don't mind, Mr. Ragas is Pargas is asking for the floor to answer you.
Okay. I will yield, Mr. President. Thank you.
William Rabay. I think po, doon lang sa mga na-list yata na 50%. Because that time there was a released IRM for the hospitals in Batangas because of the Taal. That's why po during yung pong doon sa part ng pandemic na release for the IRM for another fortuitous event, hindi na po buo yun na ibigay. That's as far as I can remember. But I will check on that po. Because if we remember po, there was an board resolution also for the Taal IRM, and hospitals are covered then by the IRM for Taal.
Your Honor, you don't think something's not right para ibigay yung 100% limit nitong mga freestanding dialysis clinics, tapos yung mga COVID referral hospitals hindi maibigay?
Mr. President,
There's nothing wrong with that?
with the permission of Senator Joel.
Yes, I will yield, Senator Lacson, please.
Yung sinasabi ni your SBP Pargas, okay, nag-release sila para sa Taal, and that was covered by another circular, IRM. Okay. So ang nangyari rito, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, kasi yung na-release na 50%, 62%, intended yun para sa Taal, fortuitous event. Ang nangyari, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, dinidak nila yung na-release na for Taal, which I think is wrong because COVID-19 is a separate IRM. It is covered by another circular, 007. Yung sa Taal, yung ba yung 2496, yung sa Taal?
Yes, I think the 2496, Mr. President,
Yes.
Senator Lacson,
Kaya
it's
nga-
a board resolution which covers for the Taal and at the same time.
So
for
why
the
would
IRM.
you deduct? But you i-charge yung sa Taal, na pandemic din yung mga taga Batangas. Dapat start from zero yon as far as IRM for COVID-19 is concerned.
Mr. President,
Tama yun.
Senator Lacson, as I've said, sir, I will check on the records why it's 50%, but I think because of the time there was this IRM for Taal. I will check lang po kung if it was deducted or it was recommended then by the region?
Yeah, yung kasi yung reklamo ng particularly yung LIPA Medical Center. Bakit daw babawasin sa kanila yung na-i-release for Taal, samantalang iba namang sabihin na natin quote-unquote fortuitous event, yung COVID-19. Dapat start from zero ulit sila. Thank you, Senator Villanueva.
Senator Lacson,
Go ahead. In response.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry, sir. Sir, I am from Benguet, sir, and I've never heard of a B. Brown Bitom. I've never heard that, sir. And then there are many people who are messaging me. Kaya pala wala kami yung mga hinihingi namin sa PhilHealth, hindi pa naibibigay, kaya ganyan kasi ang nangyari. Hindi po kilala po yung B. Brown na yun, sir. Saka lahat ng mga nagpa-hospital doon, it's either Baguio General Hospital or Benguet General Hospital or Pine City. Doon lang po sila nagpupunta, sir. Hindi po yung B. Brown na yan, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. If there is no SEC registration, how do we find out who are the people behind this B. Brown? Sino ang kausap ng PhilHealth dyan? B. Brown. No registration, no incorporators. All right. Yes,
Mr. President. We will check with the regional office concerned, Mr. President.
Sir,
All right.
if I may, sir.
Very good. Yes.
I've been investigating B. Brown, sir, and then I have a conclusion, sir, that it might be owned by Attorney Jojo Del Rosario, sir, because this is in relation to the Balanga Bank case, sir. The Balanga Bank case, sir. Because you have been going to Balanga, sir. I have been traveling there for many times, sir. So I have been trying to follow up about this B. Brown, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And the Balanga online payment, hanggang ngayon, mystery.
Yes, sir. It's
Walang
mystery,
closure.
sir. How will you pay? Some PhilHealth will pay to a bank. There's no demand. There's nothing, sir. They just sent the money to Balanga Bank, sir.
Because the account number, yung 11 transactions, to just one account number, it belongs to B. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. The owner, sir, is still a mystery, sir. It is still a mystery, sir.
Sa record, we'll show you. Paki-plus mo sa screen yung record na kuha natin. It's all B. Brown.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And yung yung 9.7 million na na-remit through Balanga Rural Bank. Merong record dyan, may account number. Ayan. Ito yung deposits made to the Balanga Rural Bank. As you can see, there are 11 deposits made on different dates, including different, ayan. That's just one account number. Ang HCI name attributed, healthcare institution na pangalan, B. Brown. Different amounts.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
This is a record eh.
Yes, sir.
All right. The Secretariat is directed to the Sergeant at Arms to find out who's behind B. Brown. Well, full investigation. All right. Go ahead. Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, kung hindi pa rin po kayo nako-convince na merong favoritism at walang kalokohan na nangyayari dito, talagang mahirap po gisingin yung mga nagtutulog-tulugan. Bago lang ako pumunta, I was supposed to be asking about provisional accreditation, but I remember si Attorney Del Rosario made a statement na proactive sila, mahigpit sila, and kanina he made mention na itong B. Brown merong mga legal cases. If I'm not mistaken, binanggit niya po kanina yun, no? Kahit na 7 oras na po ako nandito sa computer, alam ko, binanggit po niyo na merong legal cases. Pero again, kung merong legal cases itong B. Brown, imagine po ninyo, yung IRM limit nila, million, halos 50 million na po itong nakikita ko, nire-release 100%. Hindi ko alam, Mr. President, kung magdududa pa tayo na merong favoritism dito. Siguro, gusto ko lang matanong, bakit ganun? Meron palang legal cases, pero ang bilis, wala pang 1 linggo, halos 1 linggo. Pagka-receive ng MOA, meron na kagad release 100%. Hindi ba kahina-hinala po yun, Attorney Del Rosario?
Thank you, Mr. President. May I just react on the preposterous allegation again by Mr. Torson that I'm the owner of Pibron. I categorically deny that I have any interest in any dialysis center or any healthcare provider for that matter. And this is one of the lies of Attorney Torson, and I hope that he will face the consequences if he cannot prove this allegation. If this allegation proves to be a lie and so untrue. To address your concern, Sir Joel, yung ano ulit yung bakit
Binanggit
mabilis yung Pibron? Bakit mabilis yung Pibron? We will, as I've said earlier, kailangan pong check yan kung bakit at ano yung reason yan.
No, sir, I want to remind you what you mentioned kanina. There are legal concerns, legal
yes,
problem. So
yes,
bakit
yes,
na-release ka agad
yes.
dyan? Bakit
Meron pong
bilis na na-release 100%?
Sorry.
Sige po.
There are several cases that have been filed against Pibron. We will submit to this committee the status of those cases. And we will also submit the investigation report regarding the Balanga bank that I'm being accused again by Attorney Kit, being the bakit siya nabigyan kahit na meron siyang kaso. Yan po ay decision ng management. Hindi po yan decision ng legal. Ayan po ay yung mga polisiya po natin ay PhilHealth Board. No, so kung paano yung prioritization yan, that should be answered by those who processed and approved such IRM. What is the basis of what is the criteria in the selection of, in the prioritization of the IRM funds? We will submit to you the documents kung sino-sino po ang nakapirma, following up
yung fund management sector ni Renel Lim Xiaopo.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Yan yung kanyang jurisdiction eh. But anyway, Mr. President, may we request Commissioner Galica? I understand there's a task force na yung PHCC is also a member. Now, we can easily get the details of this account. There's an account number, there's an account name under HCI, Healthcare Institution, na B. Brown. Ang ombudsman po, empowered sila under the law to coordinate with any agency of government, including the AMLAC. So probably, you can make representation with ombudsman to dig deeper into the details of the account. Bibigay po namin sa inyo yung account number, identify naman yung bangko, and let's confirm kung Bibron talaga yung account name. But at least there's an account number. Kasi nilabanan ito ng Balanga Rural Bank, ayaw nilang i-release talaga. In spite of representations made by PhilHealth, sabi nila, teka muna, may inconvenience spirito in the amount of 49,000 plus pesos. So napilitan ngayon, as per reports that we received, na mag-abono yung some personnel. This is to be confirmed, hindi validated. But ang report, merong personnel from PhilHealth na nag-abono ng sariling pera. And, I don't know if this is authorized or this is legal, na yung government transaction may mag-aabono na personal money para lang ma-release the amount is 9.7 million. So, sana abutin ang inyong investigation po.
Yes, Your Honor, gagawin po namin kagad yan. I'm instructing my staff to do accordingly right now.
Yes.
And with the permission of the Senate President, we'll provide you with all the documents that we have, that have been submitted to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Senator Lacson is correct. The Ombudsman is empowered to authorize the Anti-Money Laundering Council to open any bank accounts, especially of dubious nature. Anyway, if Senator Villanueva is true, it's more than 10 minutes already, but just again, another unsolicited advice from the chair to our resource person. you know, the best thing about telling the truth is you don't have to remember what you said. All right, Senator Villanueva, are you done? I can give
Just
an
two more,
extension.
please, thank you.
One
Thank you,
minute.
Mr. President. Thank you very much. Mr. President, let me ask SVP Pargas about basis for COVID-19 packages. I remember last week I raised this question. I asked about the average hospital bill of a COVID patient, and unfortunately hindi po tayo nabigyan ng klarong sagot dito. Now, I want to ask Mr. President a related question. How did you come up with the amount of COVID-19 benefits package, which provides a benefit ranging from 43,997, I think this is for mild cases, up to, yung range po up to 786,384 sa critical. I wanted to know the basis.
Yes, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Vargas.
Yes, Mr. President, Senator Villanueva. Yes po. The principles po applied in the costing, we were able to cost amount of case payments for the inpatient. We have the full economic cost. We also base this on the standards of care during the time, especially we know that the clinical guidelines and protocols are still evolving. Our cost recovery, market fees, and charges, and of course some of the quality of care as an input. What we did po was we asked from the itemized billing charges of the hospitals. Sila po yung naging source of the data natin, and that would include of course all the accommodation, all the drugs and medicine supplies, and everything po, and it was done through cost estimates, and we were helped here by a third party, the Palladium of the USAID. So sila po yung nag-cost at saka po nag-compute on this.
Okay, so hindi ba ganun kalawak yung 43,000 to 786? Hindi yun na masyadong malawak yung range?
Actually, sir, that's why even when the board actually approved these packages, we were also instructed to do revisions. And so technically po, ito po ay hindi ko po masasabi na ganun kalawak siya because gaya po na ng binanggit ko, the inputs here are really coming from the cost of the hospitals.
Sige, gusto ko lang i-clarify, no? Yung before April 14, libre ka. Pero after, dito na pumapasok itong range na ito. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question ko na lang no? Tungkol dito sa community isolation package. Sa ngayon po, how many community isolation units are accredited by PhilHealth?
Mr. President, Senator Joel, 98 po.
98?
Yes po, as of today.
As of today. Kasi yung huli po na binigay sa akin, 38 lang. Hindi ko alam kung kailan po ito. No? But may we know what is the basis for PhilHealth Community Isolation Package amounting also to 22,449?
Mr. President, Senator Villanueva, it would include po kasi the 14-day quarantine. Kasama din po dyan yung pong board, room and board, the food, the hygiene kit, the information campaign, all the drugs and medicines as identified in the DOH guidelines for the community isolation units, and all the services po provided. So it was also...
So it's like a one size fits all kasi dun sa unang binigay sa atin, no, nung unang report sa atin, 38 lang po itong CIUs. Can we just show the table please, Secretariat's Office? Kasi 38 lang po ito, and pag tinignan nyo po, pare-pareho. So kung ang region mo nandun ka sa BARM for instance, tapos sa NCR, pareho lang yung yung reimbursement rate? Ganun po ba yun? Just to be clarified.
Yes, Mr. President, Senator Villanueva. Opo, because again, this is a package being paid to per person basis as confined or admitted or isolated in a community isolation unit.
Okay.
We can update po on the number
Yes.
and addresses of the accredited community isolation units as of
Yes. Yes, please, kasi as of July 10 pa ho yan, and napapansin nyo, 13 out of 38 CIUs are in Eastern Visayas. Pero yung BARM, isa lang, Zamboanga, isa lang. So, gusto lang ho natin makita. Well, maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, and I just wanted to put on record, yung sinabi ni Dr. Robert Klitgard, no? Yung bakit nga ba may corruption? Yung formula is corruption equals monopoly plus discretion minus accountability. Kung hindi po malakas ang loob ng ating mga whistleblowers, maaaring hindi na tayo humantong sa ganito. Kaya sana patuloy silang magkaroon ng lakas ng loob at tapang at mas marami ho silang kakampi, lalo na dito sa Senado. At dapat bawasan na rin po yung control and discretionary powers ng mga opisyal ng PhilHealth para hindi po mangyari ito at dapat maglagay din ng maraming mata. Agree po ako doon sa binanggit ng ilan nating mga kasamahan. Increase the number of auditors, in-house ombudsman para masiguro may sumusubaybay at may nagbabantay sa PhilHealth. At higit sa lahat po yung dagdagan pa yung pananagutan ng mga nakaupo o opisyales ng ating pamahalaan. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Pangulo. Maraming salamat sa ating mga resource persons at sa ating mga kasamahan sa Senado. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. President, Senator Villanueva, just to clarify lang po, as of July 29, we already have 152 pala po. We have the stats and we will provide this to the Senate.
Thank you.
152.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Christopher Bongo is next. Senator Bong, are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Magandang araw po sa lahat. Itong PhilHealth issues na pinag-usapan natin dito ay parang isang sakit. Totoo naman ang korupsyon at walang pakundangang pagnanakaw mula sa kaban ng bayan ay talaga namang sakit ng lipunan. Kagaya ng lahat ng sakit, dalawang dapat nating gawin: curative and preventive measures. Una, kailangan itong gamutin, kailangan ng curative measures. Kaya po nag-utos ng ating Pangulo na si Presidente Duterte na bumuo ng task force. Hindi po lingid sa ating Pangulo ang mga aligasyon ng katiwalian sa PhilHealth. Alam naman po nating lahat at patuloy ko pong sinasabi na dapat walang masayang ni isang sentimo sa kaban ng bayan. Itong task force na ito, whole of government po ang approach dahil nandito na po ang Department of Justice, ang NBI, ang PACC, ang ating Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, with the support from the Office of the Ombudsman, Commission on Audit at iba pa. Public office is a public trust. Walang puwang sa administrasyon na ito ang mga corrupt at mga magnanakaw. We expect this task force to initiate through investigation, conduct audit, and lifestyle checks, recommend suspensions, prosecute, and file cases, at even dismissal po, and ensure that those accountable to be put in jail. At nabanggit po ng Pangulo na talagang yayariin daw niya kayo. Nabanggit niya yan kagabi. Alam kong nabibigyan na tayong lahat sa walang katapusang alleged corruption sa PhilHealth. Dapat po ay masuspindi na ang dapat masuspindi para hindi na po maka-influenza at lifestyle check rin po. Pero hindi po dito nagtatapos ang paggamot na gagawin natin. Kailangan na rin natin gumawa ng mga hakbang para magkaroon ng vaccine. In other words, kailangan ng preventive measures para hindi na ito mangyari pang muli. Isa na po rito ang transition natin sa e-governance to minimize red tape and eliminate corruption while while your efforts to initiate IT reforms are commendable, kailangan ring siguraduhin natin na that the transition itself is free from corruption. Dahil kung magiging successful ang inyong initiative, magiging best practice ang tawag dyan at gagayahin ng ibang ahensya ng, sa pag-transition to e-governance. Pero kung sablay naman yan at nababalot ng corruption, imbis na maging best practice kayo, magiging test case lang kayo ng task force laban sa systematic corruption. Anyway, having said that, let me ask some questions to General Morales. May pangako ba ninyo sa amin at sa buong sambayanan na makikipag-cooperate kayo sa investigasyon ng gagawin ng task force na ito?
Opo, magko-cooperate ho kami. Asa nakita niyo naman, halos lahat ho ng mga datos na ginagamit ng mga senador ngayon, galing ho sa PhilHealth yan. Papatuloy ho kami magbibigay ng mga kailangan yung informasyon sa PhilHealth. At open din ho kami sa lifestyle check at sa kung anumang investigasyon ng gagawin ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno.
At kapag meron tayong allegation ng corruption against a particular official, pwede bang preventive suspension? Wala bang way for the health board to suspend the people suspected of committing fraud? Kung meron, bakit hindi ginawa ito? Meron bang hindrance? Is it the law? Kung batas ba, dapat natin itong ayusin?
Please respond. You're addressing General Morales, Senator Bong?
Yes. Wala ba sila sa PhilHealth? Wala ba silang way for PhilHealth board to preventively suspend the people suspected of committing fraud? Kung meron, bakit hindi nila ginawa?
Meron po, kahit po sa management, meron hong kapangyarihan ng management to suspend yung mga suspected of committing fraud. At nagamit na ho rin ito sa nakaraan.
I think ang problema rito, hindi makagalaw ng maayos ang mga investigative bodies natin dahil nasa pwesto pa rin po ang mga suspects, pero hindi sila matatanggal at magkaroon ng preventive suspension. I think we as legislators may consider the possibility of amending the laws on public officers to allow preventive suspension agad para hindi na po makagalaw at hindi na po maka-influenza. Anyway, President Morales, kung inosente naman kayo, just continue working at cooperate please with the investigation of the task force. Tulungan nyo po. Alam kong you mean well, gusto nyo po nilagay ka dyan ng Pangulo para linisin ang PhilHealth. Talagang hirap na hirap ka. Halos taon-taon na tayong nag-iimbestiga rito. Wala pa rin pong nangyayari. Dapat talagang merong masuspindi, ma-audit. Anyway, speaking of audit, to the Commission on Audit po, last year po ay pinatawag na rin po kayo sa Senado para bigyang linaw ang mga anomalyang transaksyon sa PhilHealth. In fact, I urge the COA to conduct a special audit on PhilHealth and submit your findings to the Ombudsman. No? Last year po pa yung sinabi na magtulungan tayo sa pag-imbestiga at mapanagot po ang mga corrupt officials ng PhilHealth. Ano na po ang status ng audit na ito? I'm addressing to the Commission on Audit.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello?
Chairman Mike.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Narinig namin kayo.
Okay. Yeah, mayroon, in fact, we actually sent a letter, I think, last week, giving you an update on the different audits going. They've been going naman, kaya lang yung problema, because of the community quarantine, medyo na-delay because there was difficulty in accessing the offices of PhilHealth during the quarantine. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin po. We have about 4 or 5 different audits ongoing. 2 of them in combination with the NBI. Ito yung mga fraud and fictitious payment audit. We have one with the Insurance Commission taking the lead. Ito yung actuarial life. We have one looking at the case rate system to determine, bakit ba ginawa talaga yun and whether it really should be abrogated. And we're also looking at their IT systems because previous to General Morales, we had encountered difficulty accessing their IT database for various reasons. Although recently nakaka-access na po kami, so we're actually able to continue working on that. And we have software that's been developed in-house that will help us detect statistical anomalies in some of the payments being made, no? Yung mga repetitive payments, yung those things that would make you raise an eyebrow na bakit ganon. So ngayon lang namin ma-access yon because we've only been able to tap into their info system recently.
Sir, may issue ng IRM. Pwede bang masali nyo po ito sa audit na gagawin?
That was one because yun nga, we're wondering ano yung ito. And of course, ang bottom line there is yung liquidation. And I think the advice of the auditors was to speed up the liquidation process para matingnan na siya. But there are indeed a lot of questions that have been raised during the hearing about how they do the allocations. And that's one of the issues na siguro maganda rin po tingnan.
Sir, medyo naputo po yung first part ng sinagot nyo kanina. Sa tingin niyo ba merong pagkakamali doon sa naibigay ng mga amounts po doon sa
as a whole, concept I think is pretty good kasi pinag-uunahan niyo rather than wait for because we're in a pandemic. I think it was a good idea, but then determining how much goes where, posible talagang magkaroon ng problema yan. In fact, under the Universal Healthcare Law, merong yung prepayment system. And one of the questions that I raised in the past with PhilHealth was how do you determine how much you will prepay? Ano ang magiging basehan ng amount na ito? And this is something that they've been working on. And in fact, sumulat sa akin si General Morales, I think last week, mag-schedule sana kami ng presentation so that they can explain how they're going to do it. Medyo na-delay lang because nagka-MECQ muna. So I'm predicting na siguro after MECQ is lifted, matutuloy na namin yung presentation. We need to understand also how they determine how much goes where. There has to be some basis for it.
Salamat po, Ginaldo. Sa PACC naman po, nandiyan pa ba kayo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Isang taon na I called on PACC to investigate PhilHealth issues po, and I understand you already have findings and recommendations on the matter. Is it correct that you found that fraud is bolstered by the ineffective legal sector of PhilHealth? Maraming case backlog at approval of decisions are prolonged. Can you explain to us the step-by-step process kung saan nagsimula ang cases, sino ang nag-imbestiga, sino ang nag-prosecute, sino ang nag-desisyon, sino ang nag-approve ng mga desisyon, at sino po ang nag-determine ng mga penalties, saan pwedeng i-appeal ang mga desisyon?
Yes, Your Honor. Tama po yan. Yan po ang isa sa aming nakitang findings na ang matagal na sistema ng legal system sa PhilHealth is causing a lot of opportunity for corruption. Sa dami ng steps na dinadaanan, plus yung details sa kada dinadaanan po niyan are all opportunity for corruption dahil pag pinigil mo ng investigasyon, pinigil mo ng pagpa-file ng kaso, nagkakaroon na ng posibleng aregluhan at every step. And this is evidenced by the very little cases that has been filed by the PhilHealth to the courts or to ombudsman. Nagsisimula po ang kaso sa PhilHealth sa region, nagpapaimbestiga po sila sa kanilang fact-finding group ng region. The fact-finding group will submit its findings sa region, and the region will now submit it to another fact-finding group doon sa central. So dalawa na ang fact-finding to. And what is weird about this is that the fact-finding report will now undergo another fact-finding by a group who doesn't really, who is really not involved or hindi siya kasali mismo doon sa ilalim. So kakaunti ang as an experience by any investigator. Pag wala po kayo doon sa baba, ay kakaunti ang iyong knowledge. After the fact-finding sa central po, ipapasa po ng fact-finding enforcement division po yan sa prosecution. Ang prosecution po, ayusin ang kaso at sasampa po sa arbitration. Arbitration po, doon po mag-hearing at doon po ang arbitration magde-decide at bibigay po ang kanilang rekomendasyon sa board. Sa board po pwede mag-apila. Pag natapos po ang apila o matapos ang board, kung gusto mag-apila ng kinasuhan, ibibigay na po, pwede na po mag-appeal sa Court of Appeals. So you will realize, Your Honors, the Chair, Presenter, John, isang fact-finding sa central, isang prosecution, isang arbitration, bago pa sa board. 5 steps at kada isang step niyan po, kada isang grupo, meron pang mga detalye po yan na hawakan pupunta. You know, that causes delay, and delay will always reflect to injustice. Kaya po halos wala napaparusahan. In my concrete example that I gave kanina po, yung corpus case po, 220 cases po yan na pina-order na po ng central para po i-file sa prosecution, pero up to now hindi ho yan na-file. Ang ating pong rekomendasyon dyan ay dapat ang legal system ng PhilHealth ay ilabas sa opisina ng PhilHealth para ito po ay matutukan na mabuti at ng tama sa tamang korte. Well, as long by experience sa PhilHealth, as long as when the cases o mga kaso ay naroon sa PhilHealth, hindi o halos nagpo-prosper yan.
You mean to say, would it be wise to suggest creating a separate office or commission na mag-handle ng mga kasong ito, separate from PhilHealth para maiwasan na ma-impluensyahan ng mga kaso at aregluhan, para maiwasan ang sabuatan sa loob ng PhilHealth? Katulad po ng, for example, no, sa NLRC, the creation of a separate office similar to the NLRC, which is a separate commission from the DOLE. Ito po yung adjudicates the labor disputes involving local and overseas workers. This way, PhilHealth can focus on providing quality healthcare to all Filipinos. Sa tingin nyo ba mas magiging mabuti kung magkaroon po ng separate office?
Yun po idea, separate office, pero you can utilize na, Your Honor, offices like PACC and the NBI para hindi na masyado magastos creating another office. Ang point lang po doon, if the investigation was being done by a office outside the PhilHealth, mas malabo po ang magkaroon ng aregluhan at mas malinaw na matapos ang kaso.
Salamat. To General Morales, last year po sa Blue Ribbon hearing, may mga pinangalan ng regional vice presidents na di umano member po ng mafia. May na ba kayong investigasyon tungkol dito? Gaano po katagal usually nagsiserve ang mga regional vice president o mga VPs at nagkakaroon ba ng regular rotation ang mga reassignment sa mga regional vice president para maiwasan ng familiarity with sa isang area po? Maraming mga issues na lumalabas sa mga pagdinig na ito at inaasahan natin na mas malalim ang gagawing pagsilip ng buong task force. Now as legislators po, this hearing is not only an exercise of our oversight functions but also in aid of legislation. Ito po natin napansin ang mga bagay na pwede makatulong sa atin as a guide sa paggawa at pag-amenda ng batas na prevent corruption from ever. Anyway, please answer po General Morales dun sa RDPs.
Opo, regularly ho na niro-rotate natin yung mga RDPs except there are 2 RDPs who, yung isa ho for health reasons na sinasite niya, Hindi siya pwedeng mag-retire daw siya pag siya nilipat. Yung iba naman, yung isa naman ho, nalipat na rin ho, na-rotate na rin. At yung isa naman hindi pa namin napepresto. But I think na-minimize na ho natin yung problem sa non-rotation ng mga RBPs.
Nabanggit ko dito, General Morales, yung upgrade to the IT system will help eradicate or at least minimize corruption. I agree. That is one of the reasons why I filed Senate Bill 1738 or the e-governance bill. Because not only it will help address the perennial issues on corruption and red tape, but also make accessing public services more convenient for the people. My question is, how can an upgrade to the IT framework help in minimizing corruption? Nabanggit nga ninyo na noong nakaraang hearing na merong 5,000 members sa database ninyo na 130 years old. Paano makakatulong ang IT para ma-improve ang inyong database at overall operations? General Morales.
Opo. Unang-una po, sa membership database ho natin, ma-update ho natin kung makakagamit tayo ng biometrics tsaka facial recognition, ma-identify na ho natin kung ito talaga yung membro at saka kung buhay siya. At saka yung mga transactions ho natin magiging electronic, wala na hong human intervention ang mga transactions. Mami-minimize ho natin ng malaki ang fraud sa PhilHealth. Ngunit yung isang project ho na ito ay malaking gawain ho ito. Hindi ho ito kaya ng mga nag-o-offer na mga information system. Ang tinitignan ho namin dito, dapat mga global players. Kasi malaki ho ang PhilHealth. 35,000 ho araw-araw ang nagkiklaim at meron ho 103 million members at 2 billion sa isang linggo ang binabayad. Hindi ho natin pwedeng isalalay ito sa mga maliliit na players, no matter how well-meaning, no matter how talented. Kailangan ho, ang kukunin natin, yun talaga merong pangalan at maaangat niya ang sistema ng PhilHealth sa level nila.
Maraming salamat, General Morales. Ilan po, Mr. Chair, I would like to reiterate, dapat pangalagaan ng pera ng PhilHealth, lalo na sa kinakaharap nating pandemya ngayon. Galing yan sa taong nagpapakahirap sa trabaho at umaasang mabigyan ng maayos na serbisyo kapag sila ay nagkakasakit. Imagine po, kung totoo ang 15 billion na nawala dahil sa corruption sa PhilHealth, 1.9 million families na sana nabigyan natin ng amelioration assistance. Nakabili na rin tayo ng 7.5 million PPEs or 16,000 ventilators. Nagamit sana natin ito sa pambili ng bakuna o dagdag allowance sa ating mga health workers. Kaya po siguraduhin natin na mananagot po ang dapat managot. Malaki ang responsibilidad na nakasalalay sa PhilHealth, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Kung gusto nating maayos na healthcare, kailangan nating maayos ang PhilHealth. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. At sa mga PhilHealth, we need your cooperation. Sa mga inosente naman po, huwag kayong matakot. Just cooperate po. Tulungan niyo po ang ating gobyerno.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Senator Go. Next is Senator Villar.
Mr. President, can I just say something?
Tony Del Rosario, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding the statement of the Honorable Commissioner Greco, Bilheca, we had the occasion to talk and I discussed with him the investigation process at PhilHealth. But I just want to clarify that the investigation, if conducted in the regions, it is not being repeated in the central office. The assistance being given by the fact-finding and enforcement department is in the preparation of the complaint affidavit. But the FFIR, we call it, the fact-finding investigation report, will be the basis for that complaint affidavit, and that will be filed with the prosecution office. Now, in cases where the region already prepared the complaint affidavit, it will only pass through the FAID for the docketing. No? And the observation is that the process of the legal system is problematic. We acknowledge that fact, and Actually, I've been pushing for the revision of the PhilHealth rules on administrative cases, and the proposal mentioned by the Honorable Commissioner to merge the prosecution department and the FAID is part of that proposal, and that has been submitted to our Organizational Systems and Development Office. And for the record, during my limited time at the legal department, at the legal sector, I have forwarded to the regions 1,003 cases for the filing of criminal complaints. And the number of our referral to the National Bureau of Investigation is in thousands of cases already, since I assumed as SBP legal. We acknowledge that the problem in the legal sector is quite a challenge. And hopefully, all the problems in the legal sector will not be dumped in me. No? Dahil makikita niyo po sa figures kung gaano po kabilis na resolve yung mga cases during my time and how I initiated for the reforms. I wrote a paper on the problems of fraud at PhilHealth, and I already gave a copy to Commissioner Belhica. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Senator Cynthia Villar, you're recognized. You have 10 minutes. Please unmute your computer.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, now okay. Go ahead.
Fellow senators, our Senate President, and our resource persons. Last meeting, I requested the list of the almost 15 billion which they gave to some 700 hospitals of PhilHealth so that I would know where the interim reimbursement mechanism went to. And they gave me the list, and I rearranged the list, and I found out that 7 billion plus went to private medical facilities, and another 7 billion plus went to government medical facilities for a total of a little less than 15 billion. Each IRM cost the government around, the minimum is 1 million, and for others, it's 150 million per hospital. So I went through it, and I asked myself, and I want to ask also them, and it has been asked before, what is the basis for giving this IRM, wherein some hospital will get 150 million, and some hospital will get 1 million. And they said that they base it on 90 days collection of each hospital from PhilHealth. Of course, we questioned the choosing of 90 days because when they decided to give them, we haven't yet the experience of what hospital will be so involved in the COVID-19 program and what hospital will not. And there is a question also that they gave to dialysis center, which in any way did not contribute to the COVID-19 program. But that has been discussed, and I guess that would be the basis of our committee report. Okay. And I want another question that they submit to me the list of all their accredited hospitals, so we will know why they chose the 700. Okay, so we will have an idea how the hospitals were chosen. And in this connection, I tend to agree with Senator Drillion that there was some hindi tinulungan ang Region 6. Kasi tiningnan ko yung list ng hospital. Lahat ng region meron silang for government hospital and meron sila for private hospital. It is only in Region 6 that they gave to a government hospital, the Western Visayas Regional Hospital, for 121 billion. They did not give to any private hospital in Region 6. Nakakapagtaka yun kasi if you look at the list, lahat ng region, kahit maliliit na region, meron sila sa private hospital. And it says here, the biggest went to NCR, 4.1 billion, both private and public. Region 3 is 2.467 billion. Region 4A is 1.89 billion. Region 7 is 1,045 billion. And Region 11, 890 million. I guess Region 6 should belong to this 7 or 6, top 16, top 6. Because in terms of development, Region 6 is one of them. Nakakapagtaka na ang binigyan lang is a government hospital in Iloilo, hindi binigyan ng any government hospital in Negros Occidental, in Antique, in Capiz, in Aklan. Tapos wala rin private hospital. I wouldn't think that there are no deserving private hospital in Region 6. So I agree with Senator Drilon that he should complain. And another thing that I noticed is in Region 9. Lahat ng binigyan Zamboanga del Sur. Alam naman natin, sa Region 9, meron Zamboanga del Norte, merong Zamboanga Sibugay, at Zamboanga City. Bakit sa Zamboanga del Sur lang nagbigay? Parang yun lang ang very noticeable doon sa nakita ko sa listahan. Of course, the question of priority is another. But those two are very noticeable in the list. So, yan lang ang masasabi ko na I want, and if the resource person, siguro yung in charge of finance, can answer that question, why they didn't give to Region 6 and only in Region 9, Zamboanga del Sur, when there are many provinces in Zamboanga del Sur. In Region 9. Yun lang ang question ko. Yes.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Yes, General Morales.
Yes, ma'am. Regarding Region 6, ang masisisi ho natin dyan si Attorney Bal Olero na siyang Regional Vice President doon, na aking pinapalo up kung bakit mabagal ang pag-process ng kanyang IRM. Actually, June lang ho yata ang na-process yung kanyang IRM. Ako ho ang nag-assign kay Attorney Olero doon at pinapalo up ko siya kung bakit hindi niya ma-process yung IRM niya. Ngunit siguro, mabuti rin ho, magbibigay ng paliwanag, ihingi natin ng paliwanag si Attorney Olero sa isang kasulatan kung bakit hindi niya mabilis ang pag-process ng IRM.
Maybe you should write to the Senate Committee for an explanation. And at the same time, sa Region 9, bakit Zamboanga del Sur lang ang binigyan?
Tatanungin din po natin yung Regional Vice President doon.
Oo, kasi very noticeable. Kasi inisa-isa ko yung listahan because that's the list I ask. And inisa-isa ko, dinivide ko by region. Yun lang ang very noticeable. Yung Region 6 at saka Region 9. And at the same time, I want to ask for all the list of all the accredited hospitals in the Philippines para makita natin paano pinili yung 700 out of the list. How many ba ang accredited hospitals ng PhilHealth?
Nasa mahigit ho sa 5,000. Including,
nga.
including mga lying-in clinics, dog bite centers, marami.
Yeah. We want to have a list. Thank you. And I want to make another manifestation kasi maraming nagsasalabi na may problema yung IT system nyo. I also agree with Senator Drilon that we should look into a private contractor that can do your IT system. Oo, kasi minsan napakahirap talagang mag-implement ng IT system even in private. Lalo na kung merong konting malaking ayaw nila na ma-implement ang IT system. Kasi yung IT system is a system of control. So pag ayaw nilang makontrol, may konting parang ayaw nilang ma-implement yan successfully. So if we can ask a private contractor to do it, para mag-succeed tayo. Just like what they did in the Bureau of Customs. Di ba nung hindi nila ma-prevent ang smuggling for a time, hinire nila yung SGS to do yung value ng mga ini-import natin para mas tama yung ating pagsingil ng tariff sa mga ini-import natin. Yun lang, marami nang natanong ang aking mga kasamahan. So yun lang ang question ko. And I'm looking forward that they will answer this Region 6 and Region 9. And at the same time, give me a list of all the private, all the institutions accredited with PhilHealth that can receive benefits from PhilHealth. Yun lang po. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you po.
PhilHealth was well advised to do the request or to give into the request of give the committee the request of Senator Villar. The Vice Chair has a follow-up question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hindi ko po gustong ninanais na maging apologies para sa Region 6. Pero in the course of our research, I happen to chance upon documents related to the question of Senator Villar. There are two letters here, April 8, 2020, for Brigadier General Ricardo Morales, AP retired, President, Chief Executive Officer, through Brigadier General Augustus de Villa, from Attorney Valerie Ann H. Holero, Attorney 6, Acting Regional Vice President. Subject, recommendation for the approval of IRM as per 2020, yung circular po ito, 0007. Dated April 8, nakalista po yung mga pangalan ng Western Visayas Medical Center, Government, 121 million, Corazon Montelibano Regional Government, Locsin Memorial Hospital, 41 million, St. Paul's Hospital, Private, and so forth and so on. There's another follow-up letter, April 15, 2020, again addressed to General Morales through General De Villa from the Acting Regional Vice President, PhilHealth Regional Office Number 6. Subject, recommendation for the approval of IRM as per PC 2020-0007. Ang first response na natanggap niya from the Central Office, ang date June 22, 2020. Signed by Etrobal B. Laborte, Head Executive Assistant. So, yun po. I don't think we can blame Attorney Holero for being incompetent or inefficient. Kasi nagpapaloob naman po siya rito based on our records na nakuha namin dito. So, yun lang. And corollary to that, may natanggap din kami reklamo from Eastern Visayas kay Governor Verdone. Nagtataka siya kung bakit ang lahat meron siyang I think 10 district community hospitals in Eastern Samar. Wala ni isa mang nakatanggap sa mga government hospital sa Eastern Samar. Ang sinisingin nila nasa mga 24 million. And yet, 4 na private hospitals ang nabigyan sa Eastern Samar. Kaya sabi niya, mahirap na probinsya ang Eastern Samar. Bakit naman hindi sila makasingil at bagkus, inuna pa yung mga private hospital. So, this is a, there's a pattern here. Bakit laging ganun na nangyayari? Parang ang mayroong favoritism sa pagpipili. Ito yung mga 4 level 1, level 1 private hospitals na nakatanggap ng IRM funds doon sa 0007 circular, amounting to 21.5 million. Bakit inuna ng PhilHealth na marilisan yung private hospitals na level 1 in favor to the disadvantage of 10 government hospitals in Eastern Visayas? Ito pinatatanong lang ito ni Governor Evardone kasi naghihimutok siya. Thank you, Mr. President.
General Morales, will you please respond? Because apparently the person you were pertaining to has been following up with PhilHealth.
Yeah, we will check our processes because I remember calling up Attorney Holero and reminding her to speed up kasi lumalabas sa aming monitoring na wala pang release yung Region 6. And I called her up because of that. But we will check our internal records to see why this happened.
So it's unfair, your answer earlier to Senator Villar, that you're blaming right away the vice or the regional director Holero. Because ito lumalabas nagpa-follow up sa inyo Ngayon sasabihin nyo mag-iimbestiga. Aalamin bakit hindi nababayaran.
Kasi siya lang ho, sa mga regional vice president, siya lang ho ang tinawagan ko. Yung iba ho, nakapag-process naman ho. So siya lang ho ang natatandaan kong tinawagan ko.
Ay, hindi po totoo nakapag-process isa lang ho Region 8 ito.
Mr. President, ito po yung recommendation siya. Upon the recommendation of the Validation Committee, the undersigned respectfully recommends the approval for the availment of the interim reimbursement mechanism, IRM, as stated in PhilHealth Circular 2020-0007 of the following healthcare institutions. And then may follow-up letter, April 15. April 8, April 15, sinagot siya June 22. Now, in connection with the Eastern Visayas IRM releases, may I move that we invite the Regional Vice President, Gibson Hernandez? Anyway, the Regional Vice President of Eastern Visayas, Mr. President.
All right. We're hearing no objection, so approved.
I heard that he was just given the master list. Walang nanggaling sa kanyang recommendation, but it was just rammed down his throat. Ang hospital na unahin, Katarman, yung mga ganun. So that's why sa Eastern Samar, siya yung nirereklamo ni Go. Dahil siya nagpapalap. Sabi niya, I'm helpless because binigay lang sa akin yung listahan at hindi naman kami kinonsult. So maybe the committee would like to hear directly from the Regional Vice President.
Yes, we'll do that. Senator, the Minority Leader, Senator Dilong.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. To set the record straight, given the statements of Mr. Morales, let me place on the record the following. Most or almost all of the 33 claims were filed on April 8, 2020. The Corazon Montelibano Memorial Hospital filed it on April 8. Qualimed filed it on April 6. Holy Mother of Mercy in Kabangkalan filed it on April 8, etc., etc. Generally, it's filed on April 8. And the next thing that they heard from the head office is on June 23. That's May, June, April, May, June. That's over 2.5 months just to respond. And maybe they required more documents. Again, these letters of June 23 were responded to on July 8, generally, first week of July. That means after 2 weeks. That was the last time the hospitals in Western Visayas heard about their claim under this IRM. So it is not true that it has not been processed. It has been processed, but it has remained pending in the head office, and the notation is for release. That's from January, July 8 up to today. That's over a month, 5 weeks, and up to now, it is still for release. So it is not true. I'm sorry, Mr. Morales. It is not true that, and I do not know your regional director there. I do not know her at all. But just to set the record straight, the difficulty and the error or whatever it is in the head office. Because in fact, if you compare this to hospitals in Region 8, the date of the release, the date of the application for IRM inclusion is March 23 or 24. It was released, the funds were released 1 week after. In the case of Iloilo, April 6 up to now, hindi pa po lumalabas. And in this particular case, in Regions 8, there is only one COVID case, but 196 million was released. Also in Region 5, the application for inclusion in the IRM was filed on March 23. The funds were released 2 weeks after, and there is only one COVID hospital, and the total amount released was 247,464,000. So the prejudice and it's difficult for us to believe that the regional director is at fault. It is clearly the error or whatever error is the least damaging to the way this is run, but it is quite obvious that it is in the head office, not in the regions, as wrongfully claimed by Mr. Morales. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you. Yes.
we will make a full report, sir, regarding this.
I am reading from the report of your regional people, regional office, and these are all based on records.
Yes, sir. We will also submit the report, sir. So
What report are you going to submit?
to explain why it happened that she submitted April 8 and then only got the release on June 22.
No, not yet. No release yet.
Wrong. At this point, there is no release yet. We filed it on April 8. The head office, central office responded 2 months after, 2.5 months after. And obviously there were some documents being requested. Within 2 weeks, all these documents were submitted. First week of July, most of them. So first week of July up to today is 5 weeks. It has not been released. It's still in the process of being approved. So it is quite obvious that there is something wrong here. And it is not true that the regional office is at fault, because at least on the basis of the records, it has been submitted to the head office as of April 8. It took the head office 2 months and 1 week to respond. And then after the requirements were completed, it was completed over 5 weeks ago. Up to now, it's still just being processed. So it is quite obvious that there's something wrong with this. And it's as testified to by one of the resource persons. It is because the regional director here, is it Attorney Holdera, was part of those that exposed the anomalies in the executive committee last year. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Next is Senator Pangilinan. Senator Pangilinan, you have 10 minutes. Is Senator Pangilinan online? We have, please bear with us. We have 3 more senators on the line. Senator Pangilinan. If Senator Pangilinan is not ready, we can call on Senator Angara, the chairman of the Committee on Finance. Thank you. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to address a question to SVP Aragona. Is she still around, Mr. President?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, SVP Aragona, ano po yung purpose ng Adobe Master Collection? That's part of the proposed procurement for IT.
Yeah, that is also, may I correct yung po, yung Adobe, that's not 21,504,000 po yan. At a unit cost of 100.
Pakiulit ho, medyo choppy ho yung linya. What's the unit cost? It's not 21 million, you're saying?
It's not 21 million, but it's 504,000. The 168 units on the ISSP approved, that is the unit cost, and in 2020, isang unit lang po yung computed doon, kaya 1 times 168. Pero yung dun sa 2020, 3 units po ang bibili ng Adobe, and that's basically 504,000 pesos.
So how many units did you recommend to procure?
3 units as 168,000, and total is 504,000 pesos.
Okay, anong silbi ho nun?
Actually, we're going to use that for our something like the multimedia thing also for the Adobe.
Yeah. I just found out wala na po yun. It parang tulad nung sinabi ni Bal Laborte kanina na yung isang software ay nabibilhin ay obsolete. Napalitan na pala tong Adobe Master Collection ng Creative Cloud. Are you aware of that?
Come again, sir. Please repeat.
Yung Adobe Master Collection, hindi na pinoproduce ng Adobe yon. What they do is they've substituted it with Creative Cloud, a software called Creative Cloud. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So baka yung kasi nag-update po din ngayon, there's a continuing update review of the different items. So there's the possibility na pagdating po doon sa actual, we will be changing din po the requirements, especially if there will be new technology. So ganun din po yung nangyayari sometimes pag naka-plan, and then pag nag-canvas sila and there's more updated product, so ina-update po nila yung specifications together with the innovations that is currently in the market.
Okay, thank you. How about ano yung plano nyo sa IT? Kailan makakompleto yan? Ano ang total cost po ng IT upgrade ninyo na lagi pong sinasagot ni President Morales sa atin?
Before I proceed with the digital transformation thing, so I would like to provide this information, sir, regarding na una po yung walang validation yung system. It's not true that walang validation ng system, because if not, wala po tayong mga return to hospital.
Why are you let me interrupt you, ma'am, because this is my time, no? Hindi ko naman tinatanong yon. Ang tanong ko po, what is the plan for IT improvements sa PhilHealth? We support that ho, pero we don't want it to be a bottomless pit na hulog lang tayo ng hulog ng pera, ma'am, no? So give us the roadmap. How many years? How much will it take?
For the 3 years po, we have the complete automation end-to-end solution, just like what our PCO has told us. So all the processes will be automated. So we are going to have big companies to be involved here. Sir, I cannot give you the price because we're going to have the RFI. The roadmap has changed. It's not an individual project at a time, but it's really a one-time solution that we have. So can we be given sufficient time, because we are now still in the process of getting an initial estimate for the end-to-end solution that we would like to embark with?
Yeah, ngayon nyo palang pinukuha yon na VP Aragona?
Yeah, no, sir. Kasi ang strategy noon, we have the Enterprise Resource Management Information System, we have the CRMIS Business Intelligence. Now, this thing is included po doon sa 2.1 budget namin, which was not yet approved by the board. So,
I want the complete roadmap. I don't want you to confuse us with technical jargon. Just tell us, what will it take to modernize the IT of PhilHealth in line with what President Morales wants? How much time do you need to give us the details?
We have a 3 years map, sir, 3-year program. starting
Hindi, para ibigay mo sa amin yung detalye noon kasi sabi mo wala kayong presyo eh. Hindi naman yung sigurong niluluto pa yun, ano? Siguro.
Hindi naman,
Oo.
sir. Hindi naman,
Okay.
sir.
So how long do you need to give those details to us?
Give us siguro mga 2 weeks from now, sir, and I will give you the figures.
Okay, sige po, sige po. Meron ba kayong nagkonsulta ba kayo sa mga ibang ahensya tulad ng because PhilHealth handles public monies just like GSIS, SSS, and it's meant to ang trabaho niyo ay talagang i-safeguard po yung pondo na yan. So that it can be used for its intended purpose. Nagkonsulta ba kayo sa mga ibang ahensya?
Actually, we are also getting some data information from GSIS, SSS since before. So, say now we're at par and using also some of the technology that they are using.
Okay, I suggest you consult them because matagal na nilang na-solve yung problema na sinasabi ni President Morales na meron kayong 130-year-old na nasa records nyo pa. Matagal na na-solve niya ng GSIS and SSS with the help of information technology. So that's my advice to you, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. President, can I ask President Morales a few questions? President Morales?
That's good.
Yes po.
Sir, I remember in my first round of questioning po sa inyo, tinanong ko po if you think two of the whistleblowers are credible, namely si Attorney Keith and si Board Member Kabading, and sabi po ninyo hindi sila credible kasi may vested interest sila sa posisyon o kaya sa pagbenta ng lupa. How about Bal Laborte, who is your executive assistant and who you brought personally to PhilHealth? Do you believe he's credible?
Yes, until today, Senator, I believe he was credible.
Until today, bakit ho?
Because he didn't divulge anything that he said here to me previously, and this resignation letter was straightforward, and he even thanked me for giving him a chance to serve with me in PhilHealth.
So medyo masama ho yung loob niya kaya sa kanya because hindi niya dinivulge sa inyo.
Yes, sir, because he was supposed to be a very close confidant, and obviously he developed even closer confidence with Mr. Kabading and not with me.
Okay, thank you. But do you believe he has competence to testify on IT matters, for instance? Because he said he is Cisco parang certified ba yun?
Well, there was one incident, if I may mention, that made me seriously doubt his reliability for information. Because we were attending a conference in Bangkok, and we were listening to a panel discussion. One of the panel members was a Filipino doctor. This panel this activity was sponsored by the World Health Organization.